From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
It is 6 minutes past the hour. Thank you so very much for waking up early in the morning. It is wonderful to be back. It felt good about 45, 60 seconds ago. It's been plugged in for about 3 hours, but about 60 seconds ago, I put my headset on. It's kind of like putting your uniform on, and you're suited up and you're ready to play, and we have a lot to talk about. Let me share with you, because I have had a lot of nice people reaching out over the weekend. How did the annual Talkers Magazine conference go? It's a 27th annual. It's our 11th. It went great. It was my favorite of all 11, and I went into it just wanting, what's the expression? Don't blank up, don't mess up, whatever you want to call it. I had 3 major speaking roles in the conference. And I'll tell you what, I had a really great time. One of the neat things, and I have to say this, because I don't care what anybody says, if you don't get a little bit nervous before you're going to do something big, then there's something wrong with that, in my opinion. Before I reffed a high school basketball game, I had some butterflies. Look, it can't be something that's paralyzing that stops you from performing. But like when I was a runner competing, always a little bit nervous. The neat thing, though, is once you get going, and it doesn't take long at all, boom, then that's all gone and away you go. But the thing I wanted to say is that I had such a good time at the conference. It wasn't like I was a zombie just waiting. Oh, when do I have to speak again? Oh, okay. Oh, and then go speak. Oh, when do I have to speak again? I mean, the thing would be terrible then. I had a blast. Margie and I went to every single session, didn't miss one. And I never really worried about the next thing I was doing until it was a little bit before time. And then I would think about it a little bit and be ready to go. So it was a perfect day. I mean, we got there early. Breakfast, registration hour, just like with our golf tournament, is 8 o'clock. We were there. The event began at 9 o'clock. I got to enjoy some really good stuff. My first speaking role was moderator of an 11 a.m. to 11:35 p.m. session, which was titled A Brave New World, basically about artificial intelligence based. But what we did was we did have a conversation about what is now, what, and then what will be. So it was a great discussion. 5 panel members put together about 20 different questions. Everybody got equal time. Time management went well. Session went well. And I was very, very pleased. Then I got to enjoy some more of the sessions. Then at lunch, I had a presentation to make. We made an $8,000 grant award to the Broadcasters Foundation of America. That was a lot of fun. We did that. That went perfect. Then, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, we ate first, then that. Then I got to enjoy some more sessions. And then we served as the master of ceremonies for the closing session. And that went extremely well. I got to introduce Brian Kilmeade, Michael Harrison, who then introduced the Freedom of Speech Award winner, which is the owner of, they call it Red Apple Radio or WABC in New York, John Katzimatidis. He gave a nice speech, and then it was over, and then we had a very nice dinner in town. Just a perfect conference. Could not have been happier. Got to meet Glenn Beck, talk with him. We took a nice photo together. If you want to go on my Facebook page, you can see that. He gave a great speech. A really warm, very real, super job. And I did have a chance to debrief a little bit with Michael Harrison. He asked me what I thought, and I told him what I'm about to tell you. It was my absolute favorite. Now, they've done 27. We've been there for 11 of them. I told him it was my favorite, and we've done them at Helen Mills Events Theater, Indian Club, Hofstra. I mean, we've been all over the place. New York City, Long Island, New York. This was and it's been at Hofstra in 2016, and then since the pandemic, I believe 20 or 21, 22, 23, and 24. I can't remember if it's 4, 16, and then it went back to New York City for 17, 18, 19, and I think 2020 it moved to Hofstra, and it's been there ever since. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't move it. That's Michael's call, but I wouldn't move it. You've got the radio station there. You have the television station there. It was, I mean, people can do their show from there. It was absolutely perfect. And I was supposed to be on the Dom Giordano show, and honestly, there's just too much happening at the conference. I just asked to be released. I just didn't want to leave where we were. They opened up, I can't complain. They opened up like 4 different time slots, but one of them would have been missing 15 minutes of Glenn Beck. I didn't want to do that, and it just conflicted with other things, and so we missed that. We had been on a show the past probably 4 or more years in a row from Talkers. It just didn't work this time. Felt like it could have worked, but every time I looked at the different times, I didn't want to miss any of the conference. So to those who ask, thank you. To those who care, thank you. It is one of the highlights of my broadcasting year. I get to see people that I only see in some cases, I see them more often, but in most cases, it's people that I get to see once a year. And pretty much everybody comes back. And it's almost like you just don't want to miss it. Standing appointment. And Michael doesn't guarantee, he doesn't announce, see you next year. It is always, even though it's been 27 straight years, it isn't always wait and see. They evaluate how it went, and then sometime next year, they'll make the decision. I'm trying to think, does it happen in the... I'm not going to say that we might know even before the end of this year, but if I remember correctly, it's not announced until next year. But it was absolutely terrific. You probably heard it at the top of the hour. It is the item that I had planned to lead with, but not for long. This disgusts me beyond belief. And you know the Democrat media is going to be going absolutely crazy about it. Goo-goo over it. Trump's probation interview today. God, these criminals. I like Trump's term because it's a term that we coined. Unconvicted criminals. Just incredible. This is a requirement. I'm not saying it's something that doesn't happen for other people, but the whole thing is corrupt. Never should have happened. You know what I was struck by? So there you go. I covered it. You know, before Juan Merchan can sentence President Trump, They have what's called, you're required to attend a probation interview. President Trump and his lawyer, Todd Blanche, will be at Mar-a-Lago. They'll meet digitally with some probation officer or whoever, and it's part of the process. You know what's going to be interesting about this is how he's treated, because he knows he's not guilty of any crime. And usually in the system, if you don't admit your guilt, then you get a harsher penalty, and it's not good. But there's no way he's going to admit his guilt. And I don't believe he should. So I think it was the former New York commissioner of the Department of Corrections and Probation. She told one of the liberal rag networks that it's highly unusual for a pre-sentence investigation interview to be conducted over Zoom, adding that they wanted an in-person visit by Trump. But just be honest. If Trump went into New York, you've got to have the cavalcade of cars, the Secret Service, the circus, the spectacle. Come on, shut up. Shut up, Martin Horn, you jackass. Shut up. You want it to be that way. Sure you do. You want Hunter's to be that way and Joe Biden's to be that way too? Is that how we're going to do it now? Much more right after this. Don't go away. I'm just getting started.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
I'm looking for trustworthy news.
WPG Talk Radio.
Hard to find, but you found it.
Fox News commentary.
A New York Democrat candidate floated the idea of re-education camps for MAGA supporters. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Gold demand is hitting record highs, but supply may not keep up. I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I believe physical gold is the only way to truly protect your retirement savings from a chaotic world. To learn how to diversify your IRA or 401k into physical precious metals, text the word SHELTER to 989898 for a free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold Group. That's SHELTER to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
Trump derangement syndrome is alive and well, but those impacted don't just hate Donald Trump, they hate his supporters as well. Look no further than the Democrat candidate for New York's 21st Congressional District, Paula Collins. Collins is hoping to unseat Republican Rep. Elise Stefanik, and during a Zoom call town hall event, she suggested that even if there is a resounding blue wave in November, there may still be a need for re-education of MAGA voters. After floating the idea of a re-education camp, she admitted that it probably wasn't best to call it that and thought it a good idea to find another way to phrase it. Really? Collins said the quiet part out loud. She is clearly a Trump-deranged, bitter, and intolerant liberal Democrat who believes her fellow Americans who happen to vote and think differently need to be re-educated. Take a look, New York. If anyone needs to be re-educated, it's Democrat voters. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
You're listening to Hurley in the Morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio. You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
Brigantine.
Mays Landing. Each state.
Ocean City.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank
South
you.
Jersey's talk station.
Thank you. Welcome back. 22 minutes past the hour. If you watched President Trump yesterday in Nevada, number one, I got to tell you something. It was 100 degrees, and Donald Trump didn't appear. He said he was sweating, but he didn't appear to be sweating. I mean, that was amazing. He is, and I know the Democrats, this drives you crazy, but he is a specimen. His stamina is remarkable. I mean, he's about to be, they sang happy birthday for him. Yesterday was not his birthday, but it's soon. It's very soon. The reason I know that is because we always had parties on property, and I was with him for 3 of his birthdays. I was not there for 3 full years, but I was there for 3 of his birthdays. I was there for about 2.5 2 3/4, something like that years. So that's coming up very, very soon. We're like a couple of days apart. I always forget if his is like the 17th of June or... Hold on one second. When is President Donald Trump's birthday?
Donald Trump was born June 14th,
June
1946.
14th. Okay.
And is 77 years old.
So it would be 78 in 4 days. But it was hot there. The teleprompter didn't work. I was thinking maybe it was the heat. I can only tell you that we do our summer broadcasts, and you've got to keep that equipment out of the sun. And if you don't, it stops working until it cools down. So I don't know if, something mechanically failed, if the heat was the culprit. As if you were watching, President Trump was none too happy about it. He ripped the independent contractor responsible for the teleprompter. You know what I couldn't help but think of, and he did bring it up, the president, but I couldn't help but think if Joe Biden was at a speech and the teleprompter went out. That's what happened to Trump. It was on, and then it went out. Joe Biden, that would be, for Trump, it might result in him saying something which he didn't say, but he would never run out of things to talk about. It might not have the focus that the speech that he intended to deliver and the message would have had. And he even said that. He said, it'd be a lot easier just to read the speech that's in there. It was so good. I just had to laugh a couple times. It was just tickling me. But I did think more than once, Joe Biden, his goose would be cooked if the teleprompter went out. Sometimes I think if you had magical powers, like I Dream of Jeannie Nelson, and you could just blink the teleprompter not to work. Joe Biden would stare. It would be, I don't know how they would extricate him. They would, though. The president has to leave. I mean, they'd have to do something because it would be a disaster. Let me see if I can't remember if I took a screen capture of it or if I actually read an article about it. I'll just riff. I'm not going to have total specifics here. But the New York Times did a piece, and they said that Biden fails fact-checking on often told claims about his background. Now, that's no surprise to you. You know that. But for the New York Times, and I think this was like a collaboration, the New York Times reviewed, the Washington Post reviewed, I think the Washington Free Beacon was part of it. They reviewed. So they reviewed all these things that, that we've talked about. I'm probably going to leave some of them out, but enough of them I do remember that it's easy to recall. Remember, he said that he had an uncle who was eaten by cannibals. That's totally bogus. Claims that he was a civil rights advocate in his youth. Absolute lie. No, he wasn't. He said that he used to drive an 18-wheeler. He says he's known Vladimir Putin for over 40 years. I mean, it goes on and on and on. He didn't drive the 18-wheeler, never did. He also talks about driving a school bus during law school. I don't know. He's Commander McBragg. You don't know what's true and what's not true. And the problem with a liar that's literally a congenital liar, it's almost like the adage in law, false in one, false in all, because most everything is a lie. Not everything, but most everything. So then you sort out what's the one thing that's true. You just can't do it. So when someone's that bad, I just don't believe anything that they say. Before we go to the bottom of the hour break, let me announce, now I do have 2 foursomes in our upcoming Thursday, June 20th, 17th annual Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Open at the Linwood Country Club that I'm still waiting. I'm not going to call anybody out, but I'm still waiting for their players. And I'm going to have to tell them that I need to know in the next couple days, or I'm just replacing them. I just can't wait. Our event is too organized. It's going too well. And I am totally pumped up that out of 124 players, we basically have 116 of the names. I get very jazzed up. I love having 31 foursomes paid for. Another thing that's absolutely incredible, we have 29 out of 31. I think that's the number. I don't have my golf folder here, but I think it's 29 out of 31 foursomes prepaid. That's fantastic, because that makes check-in so nice. You just check in, you find out what tee assignment you have. Your cart will have your name in it. Breakfast, shotgun start. All we need, if you keep praying for us, all we need is the weather. And I will tell you, I'm a little bit concerned. Why are you concerned? Thank you for asking. Here's why I'm concerned. Well, I'll tell you after the break. I want to stay on the clock. But I have a theory. I'm not saying it's going to go and launch. My theory might not launch this year, but I'll give you my theory coming up right after this. Stay with us. Open forum all next hour. I hope you'll check in at 609-407-1450. John Devlin will join us for the 8 o'clock hour, and Mayor Charles Kane for today's 9 o'clock hour.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Thank you. It's Harry Hurley at 31 minutes past the hour. 3 stories that you can follow right now on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. A Philadelphia TV star, one of the good guys, who keeps, in addition to what he does, keeps the Jerry Blavat flame alive. Check it out. It was a fun article to write. I really enjoyed it. Dear prosecutor, please take a look at the Atlantic City parking cash business. And a big loss for the Atlantic City teachers. A nightmare has arrived.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Welcome to a brand new work week. We have some really nice weather ahead, but some nuisances worth mentioning. Pollen levels are sky high. Drought concerns starting to spiral too. Lots of sunshine today with a few afternoon clouds. It'll be dry and pleasant with a high of 78 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 60. And tomorrow, partly sunny with a chance of a stray shower at some point, high 75. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Enable our skill and tell your smart speaker, play WPG. Wake up weekday mornings with Hurley in the Morning.
This is the stuff we need to talk about.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Well, then let's talk about it. It is 36 minutes past the hour. Okay, here's what I've been thinking about. For the first time yesterday, I looked at the long-range forecast for the weather. Now, keep in mind, I don't get jazzed up until we're about a week out. But guess what? We're only about 10 days out. So this is not like too far into the future. 10 days away. So here's the deal. 1% chance of rain today. 24% chance tonight. Rain is not considered in the forecast until you get to 30%. So there's no rain in the forecast today or tonight. But there is a 24% chance that it could rain. Tomorrow is a 24% chance of rain. Wednesday, 6%. Thursday, 6%. Friday, 16%. Saturday, that's the 15th, 6%. Sunday, 2%. Monday, the 17th, 4%. Tuesday, the 18th, and it's forecasted that it will go to 90 degrees. So when you jump from but we are going to be, the 14th, this Friday will be 87. Thursday will be 85, 81 for Tuesday or Wednesday. Today, the high will be 81. Tomorrow it will be 76. So I'm looking at the temperature, but then all of a sudden on the 18th, it's 90. You know how in Florida, you get almost that automatic rain because of the heat? Usually thunder with it too, which no-go, terrible for golf. So it's 24% chance of rain on the 18th. June 19th, which is Don Hurley's birthday, my identical twin brother celebrates his birthday on Wednesday, June 19th. 22% chance of rain. Now, as of yesterday, that's the day before our event. As of yesterday, there was a 24% chance of rain. I knew I wanted to have this conversation with you even before I looked at it. Now it's a 39% chance of rain. And let's see when that rain would be. Cloudy with occasional rain showers. That's the current forecast for the day of our event, with winds out of the southeast at 10 to 15 miles an hour. Now, you know what I like. I like it when it's almost no chance of rain. And maybe 5 mile an hour, maybe a gust here and there going to 10. 10 to 15 I'll take, though. It's not bad. It's a little more than I want, but not bad. But all I ask for, I like the late afternoon into the evening of the day before to have no rain, because there's a lot of stuff that our team is bringing in to the Linwood Country Club. And then I love it not to rain. It can rain on the event evening, just not in the morning or in the afternoon. But here's my thought. 16 consecutive years. I'm not aware of any tournament ever. And most tournaments don't, Jim Fraser will tell you this, most tournaments don't make it 16 years. They fizzle out usually after several years. So it's been kind of miraculous that we've been able to keep this going. I love to keep it going. And our crowd loves the event, so it's mutual. But if you had an event, and if I had Jim here right now, and I say, Jim, say you have an event for 16 years, how often would you get rained out? I think when I asked Jim that question last year, he said something like it would probably rain at least 5 times. That would only be like every 3 years. So the fact that, and then when we switched up, and then last year for the first Friday in 16 years, and I remember that day well, Margie and I went out to lunch. It was like end of the world rain and darkness and thunder. It was crazy. There was no way. It wasn't like it rained and it would pass by and you'd get your event in. There was no way. If our event did not move from Friday to Thursday, we would have been rained out. You know what we can never prove, though? Wouldn't it have been amazing? I mean, I don't think it's possible, but What if our event was on Friday and that weather didn't happen? It would have. I'm not delirious about this phenomenon that we've enjoyed. But I did think about it, though. But it's not the event that drives the weather. The weather is the weather. Oh, but this was the other thing that I wanted to tell you. This I don't like to see. When I see no rain for weeks almost, think about it. I don't know the last time it's rained. It might be something like no rain for over 2 weeks prior to our event. And there's a 38% chance of rain on our event day. Then the day after our event, there's a 38% chance of rain. And then on the day after, there's a 58% chance of rain. So rain is in the forecast. But again, it is too early to be that concerned about it. But rain is in the forecast for 1, 2, 3, 4 straight days. 39, 38, 38, 58. The one that's like 3 days after our event, I'm not that concerned about. But anything that's the day before or the day after, when you're still 10 days out, wind and whatever, so many things can change. But there is literally no rain in the forecast for the next 9 days. And then ours is the next day, and there is rain in the forecast for us. All right, I'm going to get off of that. But because I am a control freak, and it is the one thing, really, you don't have control of everything, but it is the one thing that you absolutely have no control over. You're just a sitting duck. And I that's the one element that I just can't stand. I mean, our dinner, for example, well, though, I have to take that back because, oh, my God, Brian Kilmeade, what he did to get there was amazing. We had terrible weather. Not so much in this area, but in New York City, that was amazing what Brian did to get to us and what resorts did to help get Brian to us. But Brian had to get out of New York. And there was a point in time where you couldn't get out. But he found a way to get out. And he was on time. Amazing. But for the most part, though, unless it's an absolute crazy, crazy thing, it's an indoor event. But again, even on that one, I pray for light wind and no rain because people, are getting dressed up nice and ladies are doing their hair beautifully and all of this. So we like it to be nice. I've always said once you get in your car, though, you got it made because you can pull into the garage or pull into the porte-cochere and you're undercover. So that just get in your car and you're good to go. Not with the golf tournament. The golf tournament is weather specific. All right, we'll be back. I'm not going to worry about it for now. But if we're a couple days out and it looks like it's going to rain, that's a bummer because you have to schlep all the stuff, get ready like you're really going to have it. I've been so lucky to never have to deal with that. Oh, we got to schlep the stuff back and then and keep in mind, call it an arrogant event or whatever. We don't even have a rain date. I know that's not even usual. That's not even like me. But we don't. And some year it's going to happen. If, it's just, it cannot stay this way forever. Come on. 16 straight years without a rain out? Just bad luck, the law of averages, math, anything. That would have happened. And it hasn't happened once. But the time it does, I'll be on air and saying, yeah, there you go. It's all good things. Volpe's 34-game on-base streak ended last night. Our string is going to end, whether it's at 16, 17, whatever. It's going to. Do me a favor, though. Let's make it not this year, though. Things are going too well right now. I don't want to deal with the aggravation of what that would mean. Getting a hold of 124 people and telling them a new date and let's come back again. Oh, all right. We'll be back. Much more. It is the Hurley in the Morning program.
You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
It's a source I can trust.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
We live in a society where everybody is offended.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. South Jersey's talk station.
It's Harry Hurley for my friends at Ambient Comfort Heating and Air Conditioning Professionals and their $59 air conditioning tune-up special for new customers. There are many, many hot days ahead. In fact, a bunch of them start this week. We'll be hitting near 90. And the sooner you discover a problem, the easier the repairs tend to be. You may already have noticed that your system already might not be cooling your home like it used to. And while the price of just about everything has gone up, Ambient Comfort's tune-up special is the same affordable price, just $59 for new customers. And it's well worth it. Their certified technicians will perform a thorough precision tune-up on your system. They'll make sure it's safe and running at maximum efficiency. When comfort matters, choose who I choose. Choose Ambient Comfort. Schedule your tune-up now at AmbientComfortNJ.com, AmbientComfortNJ.com, or you can call 609-568-0955, 609-568-0955 for your $59 AC tune-up for new customers. Tell them Harry Hurley sent you. Somebody try to figure this out. I have my own theory. I've kept it to myself. I wrote about it this morning on the app, on the website, WPGTalkRadio.com. And I'm asking for the Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office to look into the cash parking philosophy of Marty Small. See, I look at things, and I do events, and we take credit cards, and we take checks, and I'm wondering why parking at these events where the city of Atlantic City, in other words, Team Small, or the small team, they are in charge of the parking. They collect the money, and the rule that they set up is only cash. The only cash rule is something that makes me just think about it. Makes me wonder, why is that? These handheld devices are so easy. They're so convenient. You swipe the card. It does a whole responsibility accounting system. Every transaction is monitored, the time of it, the amount of it. Oh, wait a minute. It monitors the transactions. It keeps a ledger of every transaction. How about that? Well, sometimes the question is the answer. The situation should be looked into, though, because that's not a way to professionally do business. And I know that I speak for many. We all know a lot of people that don't carry cash anymore because everywhere you go, you can swipe a credit card or a debit card. And away you go. You don't have to worry about having cash. Unless, of course, there's an operation that only takes cash. And then it just, to me, it begs the question, why? In my piece, I don't take a position on, I in my heart of hearts, In my mind, I know why. It's almost rhetorical when I ask the question. I know the answer. There really is only one reason why. But I always like, let everybody make up their own mind. But that's just something I think it's been brought up many, many times to me in the past. It took effect again this past weekend. And incidentally, a really positive event. The city had nothing to do with it. A great event. The Atlantic City Motor Truck Meet. Just fantastic. I think it's called officially Atlantic City Truck Meet. It's been in business since 2020, and it's incredibly successful. And what it lended for, obviously, room nights in Atlantic City, and great business for the casinos, and I want to say especially, but probably equally, for the local restaurants and the local businesses. It was just fantastic. Good people, lots of them. Wonder how many cars and such parked over 2 days at $20 cash. Can we call it cash? $20 cash per pop. I mean, what if you had something like 3,000 cars? But I think it was more than that. There were points during the weekend where the city was just, I don't want to say paralyzed, but very, very, very busy, the traffic. That'd be, 60 thou right there. But just interesting, isn't it? I mean, look, I've made it very, very clear. I don't trust Marty Small. So when Marty Small sets up, hey, here's the rules. Yeah, we have a parking business and we'll run it. I mean, all that should have been subbed out. You just work that out as part of an event. City collects the parking money? Jack Chittarelli, are you listening? Who does that? That's his line. Who does that? Who says that? But just forgive me when I hear that it's a Marty Small production and you can only pay cash. It kind of reminds me of, the what's the woman's name in Georgia? My father told me, my daddy told me, keep a lot of cash. Keep a lot of cash in the house. Just seems like something like that.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. It's 5 minutes past the hour. Let's get right to your calls as promised. 609-407-1450. We have one open phone line. We're taking your phone calls all this hour long. 609-407-1450. Let's say good morning to Keith. As I just said, let's say good morning to Keith. Good morning, Keith.
Good morning. Good morning, Harry. Happy Monday.
Yes, very happy.
Hey, I tried to drop a check off at Broadcast Plaza, but you were locked up. Was there some kind of mail slot I can put it in?
There should be.
There was like a post office bin in the hallway. I didn't want to just leave it in there.
Yeah, no, because that would be the outgoing mail. Let me know. Usually during like 8:30 to 4 o'clock, that's not a problem. I don't know if somebody was out. Did you try to come on Friday?
Yeah, I came Friday and this morning.
Oh, you should have texted me.
I don't have your personal number.
Okay, all right. That's a shame. Yeah, this early, we're here, but our receptionist is not until 8:30. Why don't you do this? When is the next time you would want to come by?
I'll come by this afternoon if you want.
All right, make it before 4 o'clock, and I'll make sure that you'll be able to give it likely to Gabby at our front desk, okay?
Sounds good, Harry.
All right,
Appreciate
Keith.
it.
Yep, appreciate
Okay.
you. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. It's a shame. I'm so close to the door that Keith was at. That's a shame. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Hurley.
Thank you, sir. Good morning to you.
Thank you for taking my call.
Yep.
Harry, first of all, congratulations. It's so nice time to have when you're with like-minded people celebrating. Not only something that you love and enjoy, but it pays your bills.
Jimmy, when I tell you what a delight it was, I mean, literally to be around people like Michael Harrison and Glenn Beck and Phil Boyce, Brian Kilmeade. I could just keep going on and on and on. Just not a bad thing happens the entire time. It's wonderful.
Good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Listen, I had a similar weekend on a much smaller scale, but what the weather on Saturday was Colorado beautiful. I just couldn't believe it. I was on a barn bus tour in PA, and it was phenomenal. Bunch of people that thought like I did, and it was just a good time. But I have a question for you. What do you know about the juror email?
Okay.
Have you heard anything?
Oh, yeah. I have followed this intently. Judge Mershon brought to the attention of both sides that he had learned about a social media post from someone who said that he's the cousin of one of the jurors and that President Trump, he didn't say president, but I am, that President Trump will be convicted. It was an ugly post celebrating that Trump will be convicted, and this was the day before the jury had made their decision. Now, we still don't know, because it's being investigated, whether that is just some goofball liar, because you can write anything. There are a lot of people actually criticizing Mershon for what he has done. So there is no update on whether that is really the cousin of a juror. If it is the cousin of a juror, then that's a mistrial. That even Mershon would have to throw out the whole thing. But I haven't heard anything where they have been able to prove that it is the cousin of a juror. Well, I mean, if you think about it, Jimmy, unless it's like White House cocaine or who leaked the Dobbs decision at the Supreme Court. We've been living in a time where there's certain things they don't want to know the answer to, so they just act like, well, we don't know whose cocaine it is. Well, wait a minute, you have cameras in every inch. What do you mean you don't know? And we don't know who leaked the Dobbs decision. What, there's like 15 people that could have leaked it? I mean, you get what I'm saying. So when they don't want an answer to something, they just let it wither on the vine and go away. This is not hard. They have the IP address. They know who the person is. The person either is or isn't the cousin of a juror, and we should be promptly told that it was just a kook that posted a lie, or that it is the cousin of a juror. So, Jimmy, that's all I can tell you. That's exactly where it stands.
Okay, so we're waiting for verification. That's okay. One more quick one. Didn't a prosecutor try to slide some sneaky stuff past a judge concerning Hunter Biden's, how he's going to get out of jail free card?
100%.
Okay, how can that same person still be his prosecutor?
I know. It's because we are living in the most corrupt time in American history, of our lifetime for sure, but I believe in American history.
Oh, that excuse again. Okay, you're right. I'm sorry, I forgot for a minute.
Yeah,
how bizarre the world is that we live in.
Yes.
I just real quick, if I can get one more in.
Yeah.
So on my way to this Pennsylvania barn tour.
Oh, Jimmy, do me a favor before the barnstorm thing. I want to let people know that don't know, because I never want to assume that everybody knows exactly what we were talking about, because we did it in shorthand, because I know you know and you know that I know. In the initial plea agreement for Hunter Biden, that then he was not special counsel, he was a U.S. attorney for Delaware. Sort of acting like a special counsel, though. And David Weiss. And is in Delaware, of course. Trump's trials in New York City, where they hate him. They should love him. But it's bizarro world. And, of course, the Bidens, who have taken such advantage of being public employees to enrich themselves. And, of course, they're beloved. So everything is opposite of what it should be. They put a deal together for Hunter Biden that, like 17 pages into it, had something that no one's ever seen before. It was even in the future, Hunter Biden couldn't be charged. It was not only just get out of jail free and no penalty for anything already done. This was in perpetuity going to cover him retroactively into the future. And then this Judge Noriega said, I can't sign this. I won't sign this. It blew up. They couldn't agree to a plea deal after that. And then, oh my gosh, this is a real fair thing to do. Let's go make a special counsel out of the guy that was already trying to get Hunter Biden off scot-free. Anyhow, that's the story. I turn it back to you, Jimmy.
And of course, I knew the detail about it. I just like to throw things at you and let you.
Yeah, I know and I said you knew, but that was for anyone listening that didn't know.
Do you think Mershon would have had the same position had he seen it buried in the detail?
Oh, he would. Anything that would benefit the Biden family or any Democrat, he would absolutely just sign.
Okay, so real quick, so I get this in here. So we're driving out to PA early in the morning. We're on 276, I think, and there's a billboard, an immense billboard, one of the biggest you can see. It has a mature woman on it. She looks a little disgruntled, and above her head it says, and I'm going to paraphrase, I voted for Trump in 2016. And underneath her it says, but I can't vote for a convicted felon.
Terrible. By the way, isn't it interesting that the party that said we cannot call prisoners, we cannot call convicted people felons, they're somehow called part of the justice system, residents of the justice system, I think is the title, or something very, very close to that. But yet they gleefully call Trump a felon, who, by the way, if we're being precise, you're not a convicted felon until you're sentenced. So they're not even accurate when they say it. But they say it about him, but they won't say it about real criminals.
Kabuki theater, brother.
Yes. Thank you, Jimmy. I just want people, let that please just bake in. Let that sink in. The same Democrat maggots that won't let you call prisoners. They're called like tenants of something, or I'll look it up during the break. But it's beautiful words, don't get me wrong. It's beautiful. But we'll make an exception for Trump. He's a convicted felon. And they didn't wait, the DNC and Biden, they didn't wait 30 seconds to put out the statement, convicted felon, even though it's not accurate. But they don't care. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to be doing for the next 5 months. The KISS theory. Keep it simple and stupid. I'm not going to get into like confusing things. I'm going to say, hey, you know what? Do you remember going to McDonald's in 2019? This is, I'm stealing this from John Pyatt, but it is accurate. John's a former commissioner of Ventnor, a good guy. 2019. Medium French fries at McDonald's were $1.79. 2024, same medium French fries, $4.79. That's an increase of $3. $4.79. Now, do you remember in 2019, $4.79, you'd get the whole kit and caboodle. You'd get the whole meal. And I don't mean like some little Happy Meal thing. You'd get a big sandwich of some kind, chicken or a hamburger, Whopper, whatever, the French fries, and a beverage. $4.79 for a little either bag or sometimes, depending on the fast food place, they're in like a cardboard type container of sorts. $4.79, what you used to get for $1.79. But keep on voting that way. It's really been good for you. Keep it up. You're doing good now.
Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning.
It's a refreshing drive to work in the morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Turn up your radio. Here's the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
Yeah, the Democrats, they were lying to you. And Joe Biden leading the way, he was lying to you. And then followed up by the media mob. They were lying to you. Now, ask yourself, do you think if the country knew that it was true, that this laptop was very real, that the odds were pretty high, that it would have impacted the 2020 election in states where as few as, 10, 12,000 votes made all the difference? Yeah, I think that's a pretty logical conclusion. Did they all put their cinder blocks on the scales to help their favored candidate, Joe Biden, win? Yeah, they did. Who led the lying campaign? Joe Biden.
Check out the Sean Hannity radio show later today, right here.
War, inflation, and recession. Did you know that experts call gold the everything hedge? Gold goes far beyond hedging against inflation or the stock market. It can potentially even guard you against today's wars in Ukraine and the Middle East. Not to mention the great economic danger of a recession coming, which is what we're all worried about. And that's why gold just hit another record high. And central banks, they just keep buying gold at a record pace. It's Linda here. Join me and thousands of people who have called Goldco the #1 rated gold company. It's time you diversify your money with time-tested safe haven assets, physical gold and silver. Today, Goldco is offering our listeners up to 8 years in free IRA fees, plus up to 8% in bonus silver with a qualified account. Call 855-815-GOLD for free IRA fees, free bonus silver, and a free gold and silver info kit. What are you waiting for? Call 855-815-GOLD. That's 855-815-GOLD. Do it today. You can't wait.
Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Ocean City.
EHD.
Brigantine.
Mays Landing.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you for waking up early in the morning. 21 minutes past the hour. Right back to your call, 609-407-1450, all this hour long. If you'd like to jump in, we sure would like to hear from you. Welcome to Hurley in the morning. Hi there.
Hi, Harry. This is Linda from Margate.
Hi, Linda.
I just wanted to make a shout out to all the people from the University of the Arts that closed abruptly last week. Friday was its last day. It's a very sad day in Philly and for the arts. My daughter's a graduate from there. She also was a dance professor there the last 3 years, and it's really sad state of affairs, how they closed us.
That's terrible, Linda. Do you know why it happened?
Well, they said that they didn't get their accreditation, but it's probably something more than that. My daughter was saying that the last year or so that things seemed to change there and people were changing positions and things were just different from when she went there, but nothing led to think that was going to happen.
Wow. Shocked. Did not know this until you just shared it, Linda. That's just terrible. And then what it does is it makes everybody that's gone there sad because where they went now all of a sudden no longer exists. It's just bad on top of bad.
No, and that school cost a fortune. Where did all the money go? My daughter still has thousands and thousands of dollars of school loans. She pays every month, for that school to the Fed loan. And I just can't even understand how something like that happened that quickly.
So now you have you have a degree that still has to be paid for from an institution that no longer exists.
Right.
That's awful.
And it makes the arts look bad. And a lot of people look down upon it to begin with. And it's just sad. Very
Hey, Linda,
sad.
I just have a suggestion. I can't do anything about the sadness of the loss, but just something came to me that I want to share with you. The federal government right now is very receptive to people that are being dealt with a certain way by I guess what I'm trying to say is they're looking for ways to forgive loans and things. I believe if your daughter, I don't know if it's a Parent Plus loan and it's you, or if it's a student loan and it's her, but whoever the loan, the name is in, I would get a hold of the, I don't know where her financing is from, but if it's the main one right now, what's it called? Something like hold on one second.
Oh, Advantage?
Yes, Advantage.
Yes.
Well, good, because guess what? Because they don't care. I'd get a hold of them and find out that if the abrupt closing of the institution that your daughter has paid for to earn her degree, and they're just gone, just like that, does that qualify for the loan forgiveness? I think there's a really good chance that it may.
Well, I hope it helps a lot of other people.
Yeah.
I mean, she has students that, have one more year there to be, to be seniors. And I mean,
well, by the way, they have a great chance to recover, because then they can't even finish where they started. And I don't know about in your case, but so many times kids are now, or they're actually adults, are now going 5 years, what used to be able to easily be done in 4 years. So for those who can't even finish at their school because they've abruptly closed, I think there's a really good chance that you can get the loan forgiveness.
And listen to this. My daughter, worked there during COVID. Maybe she's been there longer than 3 years, probably 4 or 5 years now. And during COVID, when she had to do all the classes online, they called her because she was, very good with the technology, and some of the more mature teachers couldn't handle it. That was the only time she actually made better money there, was during COVID, because she lost all her other work, and she was able to teach in my kitchen the dance classes to the kids.
Wow.
And it's just so much that some of those students went through, and some of them didn't even come back that next year. They were so messed up. And now this happened to some of these same people. So it's really, really sad what happened. And they had all last week, all the students, faculty, and everybody were outside their main building. There's hundreds of pictures everywhere online, and everybody was calm. I was afraid for my daughter to go because I was afraid that there could be, something bad happen.
Yep.
But all those people were calm, loved each other, were playing music, and there was no incidents of any disruption. So,
well, there never is in the music and the theater crowd and all that. I enjoy it so much. There's never any of this. It would have to be an external agitator. It never comes from within, which is awesome. Linda, do me a favor. I have to run for now, but I'm invested. So let me know how it goes. But go for the score. Try to get the loan forgiveness.
And listen, look up the articles and everything.
I'm going to do it. I already wrote it down. University of the Arts. I wrote it in my daytimer as soon as you said it to me.
Yes, their last day was last Friday, and I was going to call, but you had a rerun show.
Yes, so, I was in Long Island, yes.
Anyway, well, thanks for talking to me.
Thank you,
Have
Linda.
a great day.
All right, all the best. See ya. Go for the win. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. I've watched as the government is forgiving loans to unscrupulous situations, and I don't know what happened here, but if you pay for a degree and bam, your institution closes just like that, like on a Friday, all of a sudden we're out of here. I think there's a lot of people that will be able to recover. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Harry. It's Steve from Absecon Island.
Hi, Steve.
How you doing? Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
At the 7 o'clock news, the top of the hour news, is that ABC News? Which news?
Oh, come on. You're not listening close enough. It's Fox News.
Fox News, okay.
Yeah.
I was morally outraged when they reported the hostage
saving.
Well, no, but hold on, though. See, this is the difference, though. And I'm only jumping in because I have followed this issue very, very closely. You had CNN and some of the others that actually tried to pawn off because they've been so biased towards Israel that this was a hostage release. For those listening, and I know most all of you know better, this was a brave mission, and one Special Forces hero got killed in this mission. They went in and they took 4 hostages from Hamas in a mission, not in a hostage release. Steve, back to you.
Exactly. But I'm tired. I don't care who the reports are coming from. I'm tired of the news media saying 4 hostages were saved in a daring mission. One IDF soldier was killed, and 240 Palestinians died. They don't report, well, how many guards were killed during the hostage rescue? How many terrorists that were in that marketplace were killed? They don't do the body count correctly, and I'm sick of it because they're trying to
Well, remember, Steve, it's even worse if it could possibly be. These Democrat media people rely on Hamas. Remember when Hamas told them that Israel bombed a hospital? Not true, never happened. But they reported it. They're actually listening to Hamas, reporting what Hamas says, reporting the statistics of Hamas.
And I guarantee you the IDF soldiers weren't counting how many terrorists they killed unless each individual soldier was polled and said, oh, I killed 4, I killed the guard, et cetera, et cetera. I'm tired of it. Don't shake the hornet's nest and you won't get stung, Gazans. How about that? Stop acting like terrorists. Act like human beings and accept the fact that Israel is there to stay, and you're getting free money to build up Gaza. It should be the Riviera, the Mediterranean Sea in that area, and it's not. They build tunnels and rockets. It's the old butter and bullets economic scenario.
Something that I swear I was going to comment on, but I don't want the gentlelady that wrote me to think that I'm just stealing her work. I just got a social media message that showed up on my iPhone watch, and it was a gentlelady listener saying, and Biden tried to take credit for it by saying he's been working hard at this. He is capable of that, and I did hear him say certain words that positioned him like he actually did something here. For those who don't know, Biden has had his foot on the throat of Netanyahu. He has been a disaster for Israel in this whole thing.
No doubt about it. Remember the raid on Entebbe?
Yes.
One soldier, I think it was Netanyahu's brother who died in that raid, if I'm not incorrect. And furthermore, they didn't say 10, 11 Ugandans died. They said 10, 11 terrorists died in the raid to secure the hostages.
Well, remember when one of the worst terrorists in the history of the world died, the Democrat media called this person an austere religious cleric or something. They're sick. They are sick. They speak well of terrorists. Look how they speak about Trump. You never hear Biden criticize Iran, North Korea, any of these Hamas, any of the bad actors. But he'll trash Trump. He'll trash Republicans. Steve, an excellent call. I've got to go for now. We're coming right back to your calls after this. Don't go away. It is the Hurley in the Morning program.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
At 33 minutes past the hour, Harry Hurley, 3 stories that you can follow right now. And you have been following our stories. Woo, your readership has been awesome. A Philadelphia television star who has been keeping the Jerry Blavat flame alive. I thought of this man and the other and wrote about it. The prosecutor, please take a look at the Atlantic City parking cash business, and big loss for the Atlantic City teachers. Yes, a nightmare for you has arrived.
Occasions only.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. I love June weather, holding around 60 degrees this morning, give or take, and we'll see 78 for a high today. Lots of sunshine early on, a few clouds this afternoon. We're staying dry today. Partly cloudy tonight, low of 60. I have to add a chance of a stray shower tomorrow. Otherwise, partly sunny skies, high 75. Jumping back to 79 on Wednesday, again with partial sunshine. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
The Olympic.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the morning.
Harry Hurley is the only person that can make sense of what's happening in Atlantic City.
On WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Wide Open Forum continues at 37 minutes past the hour. 609-407-1415 open phone line. Welcome to Hurley in the morning. Glad you called in. You're on the air.
Hi, good morning, Harry. Thanks for taking my phone call.
Pleasure.
A couple points, big points. That movie, Saving Private Ryan. Have you ever seen it?
Yes.
Okay, so I remember before ABC got so woke liberal, they used to show it every year on around this time, like Memorial Day or maybe Veterans Day, around that time. And I thought it was a good movie to show because remember the first 10 minutes really showed how tough it was when they came on Omaha Beach. And I think you said, I'm talking to a guest not too long ago, it was like, the first 3 or 4 regiments just didn't have a chance. I mean, when they came to the shore, they were slaughtered.
Yep.
And the people, I look at that, Harry, and I think we complain about little things through the course of the day. Okay, my AC not working, or I got to call a plumber for a broken pipe. These guys are 18, 19 years old, and because of their bravery, we have the rights to do what we do now. We have the freedom.
Yeah.
And when they came on the shore, I mean...
And by the way, they provided the freedom for these counterculture, lefty losers that hate America now, that have the freedom to hate America.
Which gives me my next point. It gets me mad because they wouldn't have those freedoms if it wasn't for the greatest generation, like you always say.
Who they hate.
It really aggravates me. So anyway, getting past that, I think they should show that movie in the schools. I don't have a say, you don't have a say, but I think every child in, say, 6th, 7th, 8th grade should view that movie, and it would be a good educational piece, and they can really explain. It gives the true depiction of what happened during that time.
Well, I totally agree, but I think you're going to totally agree with this next comment. They will not show it because it does not fit their agenda.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right, yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yep. The second thing is, I agree with what you said earlier, a guest caller, about the that whole reporting of the rescuing the hostages.
Yes.
So the thing is, what gets me mad again is that special forces agent with the IDF who died. They sideswipe over it, Harry. They make it sound like, one Israel soldier got killed. Well, because that Israel soldier that went in there, they got the 4 people out. And they make it sound like, well, it doesn't matter, just an Israel soldier. And then I still think their numbers are inaccurate for the Palestinians when they say 350 or 343 were killed in that raid or whatever. I think they're giving you false numbers. I don't believe that many Palestinians were killed already.
Well, first of all, it's Hamas giving the numbers, so they're a lie to begin with. The other point that we just have to acknowledge, and we don't have to accept it, but we have to recognize that it is, the current atmosphere. All of this, they hate Netanyahu. Biden hates Netanyahu. They're against Israel. The whole lot of them. Look at those horrific people that defaced. You talk about, the people on January 6th that are in jail. Nobody got arrested. They committed federal crimes by defacing and debasing that monument that they painted blue or whatever it was, red, blue. I think it was blue. Nothing happens to them. It never does.
No, because it doesn't, like you said, fit their narrative, and because
and it's their base. That crowd that's yelling "Genocide Joe," that's the Democrat base right there. Right,
and it's a bunch of BS because, like you said, it was a Republican. They go right after him, lay down the hammer,
Absolutely.
The last thing is, I don't know if you noticed this, but it just makes me laugh. Whenever Biden gives a speech, he tries to be all dramatic, and he can't pull it off. So, it's like that car revving up in the morning, it starts real slow, and then it gets real high as it gets done. But he can't pull it off. He tries to get from low to high, then he goes down, then he goes up.
Come on, he confused Ukraine and Iraq while in Normandy, France. He's a mess. Someone said again that he pooped himself. I believe it. I mean, this is awful what's going on.
It is, and he shows weakness when he gets up there and says, well, we're sorry we didn't give you aid. I mean, Ukraine, okay, God bless them. I mean, we're helping them, the whole thing, but when he gets up there and says, oh, well, the Republican Party basically stalled us, so we're sorry we didn't get it to you sooner.
Well, how come after they can do that, they can blame whoever they want to blame, how come when they got the money, they still delayed it?
Right. They still delayed it. So it's like he acts like he has all this urgency. He's still coming to the party all the time, and he wants to blame one party. And the thing that makes me laugh is about the border. He does these lame executive orders when Schumer never even picked up that H.R. 2 bill, I believe it is, from Mike Johnson. Never even picked up, never looked at it. So when they say they lie again, when they say, oh, Republicans, we had something on the table and Republicans didn't want to agree, that's a bunch of BS because the bill we had was really comprehensive immigration reform that he never even took up to begin with. Schumer never even looked at.
That is right. And then they always blame the other side when they're guilty of what they blame the other side for. Until we meet again, let me run. I want to get in one more call before the break. Dan, you are on deck. You're on the air right now. Go right ahead. Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Good morning. I'm well. Thank you for asking.
Good. I wanted to ask you about that supposedly congressional, comprehensive, bipartisan border supposed agenda. In that, did I read it wrong? But didn't it take away powers from the president?
They're always Deb, they're always putting things in that because Biden, they know he's going to be gone. Biden's even been saying it out there. They're trying to do things in a hurry so that when Trump is president again, they can handcuff him. There are all kinds of things in there because when they're in power, they do whatever they want. Even if the Supreme Court says you can't pay off these student loans, they keep paying them off. They don't care what the law is. They break it willfully. But then, of course, if Trump gets in there, then he'll be held accountable to the letter of any law and anything that they put in place.
Yeah, I think that there shouldn't be any revenge, but there should be accountability.
Yeah, I agree. The word revenge is wrong. It gives the other side an opportunity to make the side that's been the victim look like they're the bad guy. It's not revenge. If Fauci lied, Fauci has to be held to account. If the 51 NSA people that lied, directors of the CIA and all these other people that signed that letter, if they lied and they directly interfered with the 2020 election, they need, like you said, they need to be held to account. It's not revenge. It's merely being held to account. I mean, you look at all these people. If a Republican gets held in contempt of Congress, the Justice Department takes them, drags them through the court system, and puts them in jail, as they have done to Peter Navarro. Steve Bannon's been ordered to report. But when they're guilty of obstruction of Congress and the criminal referrals get made to the Department of Justice, nobody on the Democrat side gets charged. So it's not revenge. It's merely people. There's just a long laundry list of bad guys that have been given preferential treatment.
Yes, and I think our party needs to stop saying revenge and start.
They don't say revenge. The Democrat media is saying revenge. President Trump gave another interview where the word revenge was brought up, and he says, no, it's not revenge. It's just we have a two-tiered system of justice. So don't fall, Deb, don't fall for the trap. You just fell for it. Hook, line, and stinker right there. They're not saying it. The other side is saying it about them. That's a really important point that we better get straight. Got to go. Dan, you're next as soon as we come back. 46 minutes past the hour on the Hurley in the Morning program. Very, very pleased to report that this portion of our program brought to us in part by Congress Hall, and I'll share more about that in just a couple of minutes. Don't go away.
Hurley in the Morning.
They stick to the facts.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
Established, reputable.
WPG
Guilty as
Talk
charged.
Radio 95.5.
Harry Hurley for Congress Hall. Presidents, musicians, artists, dignitaries, esteemed guests for more than 200 years. Yes, and your company is always cordially requested. Congress Hall stands alone as the best of them all in Cape May, New Jersey, an icon of relaxed elegance and warm hospitality that has welcomed generations of travelers since 1816. Wow. Here, classic American charm is felt. From the minute you walk through the door, you'll see the marble-floored lobby, the American flags that line History Hallway, spacious ocean view, guest rooms and suites, overnight stay at Congress Hall. Feels like you're stepping into your own little cottage by the sea. They expertly pair great amenities and everything you would expect of a world-class resort. From healthy indulgences at Congress Hall Sea Spa, to hearty farm fresh favorites at the Blue Pig Tavern, to cocktails at the Brown Room Lounge, pizza and more, DJs and dancing down in the Boiler Room. Congress Hall has it all. All you have to do to reserve, to book your stay, go to caperesorts.com/Congress Hall. caperesorts.com/Congress Hall. Congress Hall is America's first seaside resort. Hello, Dan.
$325 million to build a pier.
By the way, here's what we're doing. We have 9 minutes. You get 4.5, and our next caller is going to get 4.5. Go.
He must be a heavy hitter, that guy.
Yes, he is. And I meant to say 3.5, but go.
$325 million to build that pier, the humanitarian pier in Gaza, and then 12 days into it, of course, they didn't account for the high seas.
Oh, yeah, it busted up. But don't worry, though. They couldn't have fixed it any faster because we have to keep that Hamas hotline open. We must keep funding Hamas. Notice how Biden and it was Obama-Biden before that, how their priorities are funding Iran, funding Hamas. It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Well, it's up to $100 billion in oil that we're not sanctioning now, and then the money on the tarmac, then the other $100 million.
And I just paid $4.20 a gallon the other day. I mean, what kind of chump are we? We should be energy independent, a net oil exporter, and look at what they've done.
I mean, if you're making a decision on 4 or 5 things, and they just showed a poll on Fox with the economy and the border.
Yeah.
Those numbers are not 3 or 4% difference between Trump and Biden. They're 15 to 20% difference.
Oh, yeah.
How's he handling the border? What do you mean handling the border? He says we're going to surge. Go ahead and surge the border. You have a right. This is America. This is who we are. Well, guess what? 10 million people later, and the other guy keeps saying that, hey, the border's closed. And the girl says, of course, to speak your new job, the press secretary, hey, the border's closed. It's secure. Everything's good. Kamala.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? But $325 million. Could you imagine what that would do for homeless veterans in the United States?
Oh, it's just terrible what they've done. Their priorities are they're anti-American on top of everything else. It's just awful.
Biden took an oath, and it says he will faithfully execute the laws of the United States, which means if the Supreme Court strikes something down like this loan forgiveness and you go ahead and do it, in my world, you're in contempt of court.
Oh, there's no doubt. And remember, he just did an interview with the ghost of Mrs. Muir on ABC, and they posed a question because every question has to be both asked and basically answered, leaving him only to have to say yes or no. They all are in on it. I'm telling you, they're all in on it. Oh, Mr. President, of course, you can't speak about a current federal case that's in the court. He's talking about Hunter Biden. He just like that, like Biden didn't already say, my son is innocent. He's done nothing wrong. I mean, what's wrong with these people? They think we're stupid? So then he says that whole disclaimer, he asks and answers it for him because he looked all confused there, Joe Biden. And then he says at the end, will you pardon your son? Yes or no? And he just has to give the one word. And he might even have done it that you won't pardon your son, so they can make it confusing. Throw a negative in there. And Biden says yes to a negative. And I don't mean negative as in unpleasant. I mean as in negative and positive. Because it's like when you have a ballot question. You never want to have to answer the ballot question no to say yes. That's why when people do a petition, you really need to fight your government to make sure that you get a yes question, not a no question. So they ask and answer the questions for him. We're going to get more of the same. Trump's going to get on June 27th just bombed with Jake Tapper and what's-her-face. And Biden, they're going to have it all laid out ahead of time. He'll just have to, not crap his pants, and then they'll all say he did great.
Just remember this, Harry. 51 on the first day or the second day, Donald Trump should say, all 51 of these folks who did this, signed off on this, knowingly signed off on this, your security clearance is no longer in action.
I agree with that completely. They should immediately revoke. And I've been calling for that since it happened. I knew they were lying. I wanted their security clearance revoked in 2020. And, of course, that wasn't going to happen with the jackals that are in charge right now. The moment they're in charge, immediately their security clearance is revoked. And immediately the Justice Department files criminal referrals against all of them. All of them have to be prosecuted. Dan, I promised we were going to split it, so we're going to do it. Welcome to the program. You're on the air. Go.
Good morning, Harry. It's a great day in the city of Brigantine.
It is.
So the Democrats are constantly redefining words, as we know. So the new word that they're redefining now is the word justice. The word justice will now be redefined as retribution or revenge when it's done by President Trump. Any justice brought by President Trump will be redefined as revenge. As far as Joe Biden seemingly defending Hamas, defending Iran, won't speak ill of them. Who does that remind you of, Harry? We had a president for 8 years who refused to utter the term Islamic terrorism. Refused. Went around the world apologizing for the United States and all the evils we've perpetrated over the centuries. And meanwhile, he was assiduously apologized for Iran, for Islam, defended them.
Oh yeah,
defended them every opportunity.
I gotta get this in, Andy. Listen to this, because I promised the listeners I would get back up to speed on this. I knew they had special names for prisoners. Unless you're Trump, then you're called convicted felon. But they don't call real convicted felons. They don't call them prisoners. They don't call them inmates. They don't call them offenders. Here's what they call them. If they're in doing some kind of teaching, they're called students. If they are in a prison infirmary, they are called patients. If they are elsewhere, they have other cutesy names. We just don't have time. The music's playing us off. And the worst they're called is incarcerated persons. But yet, the DNC and Biden came out within 5 seconds of the jury verdict in New York City to call President Trump convicted felon when you're not even a convicted felon until you're sentenced. This is the game. So all the real murderers and the real prisoners are not prisoners, but Trump is a convicted felon because they made up a fake charge and convicted him. This is now, ladies and gentlemen, the country that we live in. John Devlin joins the program next. It's Hurley in the morning. Thank you, Andy.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you so very much. Welcome back to the Hurley in the Morning program at 5 minutes past the hour. On the Hurley in the Morning Newsmaker hotline is John Devlin, the former president of the Atlantic City Board of Education, former chairman of the Atlantic County Municipal Utilities Authority, and a career retired Atlantic City police officer. So he's worn a lot of hats, and I might add, very well. You know, there are people that wear a lot of hats and they wear them badly. John has worn them very, very honorably, very, very well. This hour is not going to be all negative. I know we're living in very hyper-negative times. It's not going to be all negative, but this opening question that I have for John might seem a little bit negative, but I can't help it. I mean, I'm not going to not talk about something because it's not, sunshine and rainbows. John, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Harry. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, by the way.
Earned, my friend. So I wrote an article 2 days ago titled Big Loss for the Atlantic City, New Jersey Teachers. I would have put certified and supportive staffs, but you only get 65 characters, and I couldn't fit it in. So I left it at teachers, but I really meant certified and supportive staff. And I don't know anything about the new president of the board, the Atlantic City Education Association Union. But I know that it's not Tim Mancuso who is retired. It's a new person, and her name escapes me. I think it's Stacy Sweeney, spelled unconventionally, no E in the end of it. Usually you see Sweeney, S-W-E-E-N-E-Y. This is S-W-E-E-N-Y, if I'm not mistaken. I only committed that to memory because I've never seen that. Almost looks like it's a typo. When I first saw it, I thought somebody just misspelled it, and that's not the case. It's the correct spelling. But anyhow, my sources tell me that the new president of the Teachers and the Supportive Staff Union is actually a very good friend of LaQuetta Smalls. Is that what you hear?
Well, I mean, listen, first and foremost, that's a very important position within our school district. We have thousands of teachers, and representing them is a big task. We have contracts, we have injuries, we have grievances. So, very, very important position. And I did hear some scuttlebutt saying that she's tied into the Smalls network. But listen, time will tell. And again, it's one of the most important positions.
See, here's what I believe. I believe it should always be collegial. I just like you, I served in the position, so this is not theory with me. I had a very good working relationship with the Ventnor Educational, Union, and we were able to work together, and we were able to negotiate contracts and do things like that. My feeling is this, though, and nobody's disagreed with me when I've said it or when I've written it. It shouldn't be a friend. The union leader should not be good friends with the superintendent. It's nothing wrong with being friendly. It should be respectful. It should be collegial. It should be decent. I mean, I have no problem with any of that. It doesn't have to be, wickedly adversarial. But how are certified and supportive staff members going to feel if they put their grievances in and they get knocked out? I mean, if you got somebody that's chummy with the district, with the top administrator, that's not a good thing, John.
No, exactly.
By the way, it's really good for the school district, but it's not good for the employees.
No, exactly. I want to piggyback on exactly what you just said. You need, a yin and a yang. You have to have checks and balances. You have to have, a good president is respectful, but they represent the teachers, the support staff, not not the board,
right?
Not the president of the Board of Education, not the superintendent of schools. And again,
quickly, John, let me just say something, and I'm being a little bit rude, jumping in on you like that, but I want to make sure I get this out there early because I know there are a lot of the employees listening right now. This is extremely important. We've been doing this for 32 years together. There have been times over the 32 years when you have been served very well, when, say, a Marcia Genova was the president and she fought very hard for the certified and supportive staff members, and grievances got filed, and the employees were backed, and they fought hard. And then there have been times where the union members have been sold out. So all I'm going to ask you to do is do what we've been doing for 32 years. If you have a grievance and your grievance gets squashed and you don't even have a chance to get heard and something crooked is going on, do what you've always done. You get a hold of me, and I'm your town, whatever you want to call it, crier or whatever. I will let the world know, and that will put a lot of heat on the people that were trying to squash employees before they could even get out of the starting blocks. You see, I don't know anything about Sweeney, so this is not about the new one, Sweeney. All I'm going to do, like you had commented, John, is give people a fair chance. And if employees file grievances and the grievances are attended to properly and the employees are backed up by their union the way that they're supposed to be, then guess what? Good. The system is working, and then there's no need for comment. But if it's not that way, John, we're going to let the public know.
I think that's fair. Again, it's a very important position. Very important that she surrounds herself with people that are representing the body and not representing the superintendent. And I say that because you wrote an article regarding the chair of the grievance committee. That's, again, look, I've been a union member for 32 years in different unions, and I can say this. That's another second to the most powerful to the president.
Well, John, hold on, because you went right where I wanted to go. When was the election? Do you remember when it became final that Stacey Sweeney was the new president? And I know it was very, very close, and probably Charles Joseph was the spoiler that allowed Sweeney to get in there. His 30-some votes were more than the difference between the Sweeney and the person who finished second. When was that settled and she was the president? John, if you can hear me, I know there's background noise there. Do you know when she became the president?
So it was recent. I believe June 1st was Mancuso's retirement date. So I guess they don't fill out, normally if a position's open, they fill out their term or have a special election. But I think they had an election, and it was very recent, within the last few weeks.
And I pretty much have the answer to my question, but I just wanted to have dialogue about it. This letter, it really is self-explanatory, and this tells me that this situation bears watching. The new president literally wrote on June 6th at 8:26 a.m. the following, and it's to the committee chair of the grievance committee. Thank you for your service as the grievance chair of Atlantic City Education Association from June 1, 2022 to Wednesday, June 5, 2024. However, I have chosen to fill that position with a member who fits the current vision of Atlantic City Education Association. I will be posting other positions for committees within the union that you can sign up for that may spark your interest and utilize your talents to propel our organization in the future. So I found it very interesting that the current people don't fit the current vision, John. Who knows? What is the current vision? The person's been in office for hours. What's the current vision?
Yeah, that's a little baffling to me.
The current vision. Hello. Hi, I'm Laquetta's friend, and we have a new vision now. That's what that tells me.
Yeah, I'm suspicious, as you know, and again, I think we have some of the greatest teachers in the state in the ACBOE. But again, that's such an important position. I can't say enough because there are grievances. Listen, a lot goes on the day-to-day operations inside the school district. We don't know about. We're not there every day, and they're the boots on the ground. They're the people. If we don't have teachers, we don't have schools, we don't have classes. So,
well, I'm told LaQuetta Small, this is who she wanted. Now, if Stacy Sweeney gets a hold of me and says, "Look, Harry, you are wrong. I am not LaQuetta's friend," then I'll stop saying you're LaQuetta's friend. But I've been told by enough people that I know and trust that they are friends. And good, you're friends, good. But friends shouldn't be the union leader and the chief school administrator. That's a recipe for disaster for the employees. That's what has to be vetted. And look, if employees file grievances and the grievances are heard properly and they are presented properly and the employees are defended, then good. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah. Listen, if we're dead wrong, we're dead wrong. But again, it's the same reason why we have policies like nepotism policies and other different policies in place to prevent situations from going south.
Well, and none of them are followed, John.
Well, and that's why there's lawsuits, and that's why bad situations happen when you deviate from a policy or procedure that's been in place, and because they're a friend and family, they either ignore them or choose not to follow them. Either one is a bad recipe.
Yep. Let's. What do they say? Plan, but hope for the best, but plan for the worst. I just like to see the certified staff and the supportive staff be represented by leadership that works hard for them and is for them, and not quietly or even worse than that, overtly working against them. I've just, not just Atlantic City, I've covered so many examples where the union leaders sell out to the administration because of either how they get treated, things that after they're done, they get a nice assignment after the fact, and if you fought hard, when you have to go back into the classroom or something else, you get it stuck to you at the end. So you wind up with, and again, nothing, I don't know anything about this new union leader. These are just things I know from experience. And I'm not just talking about one district here. I'm talking generically about many, many examples that I personally watched the union leaders sell out their own members. It's one of the most awful things you can ever have in place. Back in just a few minutes, don't go away. John's with us the whole hour. It's 18 minutes past the hour. John Devlin, yours truly, Hurley in the Morning. Back in a few.
Hurley in the Morning.
Not only the news, but perspective too.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
Egg Harbor Township, Ocean City, Goshen, Cape May.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. Welcome back. Visiting with Atlantic City superstar John Devlin at 21 minutes past the hour. John, I have a very positive story I'd like to bring up next. Is there anything more on that opening story that you didn't get a chance to share? I don't want to move from that. If there's anything you needed to say that you didn't have the time to say.
No, I think we covered it. Again, my humble opinion is just that we need a kind of the yin and the yang where, just like the President of the United States shouldn't be chubby with the director of the FBI. We just need that professional
separation. Professional separation.
Perfect wording. Yep. That was about all I wanted to add to that.
Good. Now what I want to talk about, because I've written 2 articles in the past 2 weeks about, my love for movies, John. You and I have talked offline about movies, and I love movies. I watched a beautiful movie yesterday that I enjoyed so much. Don't have time to talk about it now, but it was great. And it just takes you away from stuff that's going on, and I just find it really relaxing. I enjoy it so much. And I've not just the past 2 weeks, and obviously it's exciting. There's a lot of social media. There's a lot of stories about the movie that's being filmed right now, People Not Places, with Shirley MacLaine and Stephen Dorff in Atlantic City, in Pleasantville, in Margate. You know, all of it's wonderful, and we've written about that as well. But I've been talking for years on this program about how New Jersey is the official birthplace of the American film industry. Literally, it all started in 1907 right here in Fort Lee, New Jersey, with a studio that opened, it took 2 years, but a studio that opened in 1909. So Fort Lee, New Jersey became the first American film town, and that makes New Jersey the rightful birthplace of the American cinema. There's so many movies, and we list them all, that have been filmed either entirely or at least partly in New Jersey, and many of them in Atlantic City. So if you want to go to my article, ladies and gentlemen, the most recent one is titled "The Truth About Academy Award Actress Filming in Atlantic City, New Jersey," and you can read, and there are links to every single movie that I could find that was ever filmed in the state of New Jersey. So let's be parochial, John. Let's just talk about Atlantic City, not just statewide, but Atlantic City specific. Many movies have been filmed in Atlantic City, John, and in fact, more should be.
No, I couldn't agree with you more, Harry. Thanks to Chris Brown, actually, when he was a senator, he supported the bill that gave production in New Jersey 35% a tax cut. So New Jersey is very attractive to big productions and big studios because that's a heck of a lot of money to get on the tail end of a movie, especially if you're an average movie these days, $50 to $100 million. That's a heck of a tax break at the end of the day. And it makes New Jersey very attractive. And look, the logistic wise, and we spoke about this off air, New Jersey is a heck of a lot better than New York, heck of a lot better than Center City, Philadelphia. South Jersey, let's get even more home. Right now, Atlantic City, very attractive, logistic-wise, environmental-wise. I mean, they have everything that you would want if you're a big production company. You got parking, you got hotel rooms, you have studios, you have abandoned buildings, you have abandoned schools. I mean, the list goes on, but we're very attractive on the market to studios that, that are interested in coming here and filming here. And we have a lot of history, too. So good and bad. So, people say all the time that they love it. And look, truth be told, I was part of driving, a couple key actors in the past, and they couldn't say enough about Atlantic City. They just love the history. They love the convention hall. They love it that you could park. They love it that the food is excellent. I mean, it's like almost a perfect situation for a studio coming to New Jersey.
Anytime I remember my casino days and this is not new, and that's a long time ago, when I was the top hotel executive at President Trump's Trump Castle Casino Resort by the Bay. And as you know, John, we filmed part of The Godfather 3 in the Trump Castle. The people that make movies have always loved filming in Atlantic City, I think at many levels, and you're intimately aware. I have experience just as an executive. You have actual hands-on experience, but what they love about Atlantic City, our level of cooperation, and as you mentioned, we have the facilities. Like they were going to do the boardroom scene. They needed the helicopter shot, the boardroom scene, the parking area where they left, and all that. All that was filmed at Trump Castle. They called it something like the La Palazza or something in the movie, but it was the Trump Castle. And some of it wasn't the Trump Castle, but a lot of it was. They love working with Atlantic City people. They find Atlantic City people to be cooperative. There's a lot of real positives about it, John.
Yeah, and I think it also, to the point, New York City is very expensive. parking, as you know, and I'm sure you drove there all the time with your other work. The traffic, parking, it's expensive to pull a permit in New York City. And, for them to come down here, big production companies, Apple and HBO and Hulu and others and Netflix, they are looking very hard at South Jersey. I hear the conversations. It's all positive. And again, they shot a movie here, Army of the Dead, some time ago in 2018, and I had the opportunity to drive Dave Bautista, who's an iconic movie star and wrestler and others.
By the way, John, you know how excited I was when that was a building that I spent 11 years of my life, basically 6-7 days a week, and they were in the pool, they were in the spa. I mean, areas that I was personally responsible. In the spa, especially, the pool was already designed by Joel Bergman and his team, but the spa, we had, a hand in a lot of that as well. That movie was right there at the former Golden Nugget.
Yeah, I sat outside of that building, actually went in the building during the filming, and, it's the same conversation. They just see, it's just like Jimmy Johnson coming here. His first thing was, hey, man, there's so much potential here. He goes, I felt like it was my first year in Dallas, my first coaching year in Dallas. That's how they come here and they feel about the Jersey Shore, yeah. Atlantic City in particular. And they're not just looking at the great beaches, the boardwalk, right. The hotels, the rest. They're looking at logistics. Hey.
Well, John, for example, the Golden Nugget, whatever you want to call it, Golden Nugget, Atlantic Club, Hilton, Atlanta, on and on and on, a million different names. But that building was like a zombie apocalypse. I mean, that was perfect for them.
It was perfect for them. The owners were accommodating, but exactly what you said. That could be a studio. Listen, there's a jail in Staten Island that closed that a studio bought, and that building operates 5 to 6 days a week. Because think about it. How many movies do you see? Law and Order,
yeah,
Blue Bloods, and beyond. They need a jail scene. Well, here, a closed, abandoned jail. Some smart producer goes in there and says, damn, we can use this. And now when I'm not using it, I can rent it out for top money to somebody else that wants to shoot the movie here. So it's just like, again, Atlantic City has those kinds of resources, and they're very attractive. I listen and I see things, and people are very accommodating and very happy to be here. Again, and it goes out to the good businesses in Atlantic City that provide food, that provide logistics. We could talk, but I tell you what, you're going to see, and you have, okay, since 2018, you had Army of the Dead, which was pretty much filmed exclusively here. You had Bruised right behind that with Halle Berry, which was #1 on Netflix for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then in between, you had Reacher. I mean, we discussed this. It was all really, really nice productions that really, really appreciated Atlantic City in particular. And then rolls into People Not Places, which I can tell you right now, ecstatic. Ecstatic about Margate, ecstatic about Ventnor, ecstatic about Atlantic City. We were in Pleasantville a week and a half ago. They couldn't be more accommodating and on both sides of the fence. So it's been fun. It's interesting, and it's nice seeing things come to Atlantic City and have good conversation about it.
John, we're going to come right back. Loved your dialogue on that because, I love talking to somebody that knows what they speak, and you do in this space. 31 minutes past the hour, a positive story, Dateline Atlantic City, when we come back, and unfortunately will fold into a potentially not so positive story. Still, we'll tell you what's happening, and we'll have to wait and see where it all goes from here. But it looks like a negative after we give you something that's positive. It's not on purpose, but it's got to be said. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
It is 32 minutes past the hour with John Devlin, Harry Hurley. 3 stories that you can follow on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. A bona fide, great guy, Philadelphia TV star, and he is keeping the Jerry Blavat flame alive. Read all about him, one of the good ones. Prosecutor, please take a look at the Atlantic City parking cash business. And a big loss for the Atlantic City teachers, or so it seems. A potential nightmare may have arrived. Back in just a few. Don't go away. It's Hurley in the Morning.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Welcome to a brand new work week. We have some really nice weather ahead, but some nuisances worth mentioning. Pollen levels are sky high. Drought concerns starting to spiral too. Lots of sunshine today with a few afternoon clouds. It'll be dry and pleasant with a high of 78 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 60. And tomorrow, partly sunny with a chance of a stray shower at some point, high 75. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the Morning.
It tends to make me feel a little bit more intelligent.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Welcome back. 36 minutes past the hour. John Devlin continues. We're at Dateline, Atlantic City. Here's a real positive, John. The truck show, and I want to go into my notes because it's a simple name, but I want to get it correctly. It was established in July of 2020, and they have really been going strong. This is exactly the kind of business that Atlantic City needs. This is the kind of business that generates room nights, it generates casino business, it generates local restaurant business. I mean, as you know, John, the town was so busy this weekend. So just phenomenal news. It's called the Atlantic City Truck Meet. And boy, did the trucks meet, John. It was huge.
It was really amazing just to watch those trucks come in. Were amazing. It's funny, I actually met the organizer of that event years ago during COVID, and he was telling me about this idea he had, and it was, to me, I'm not a big car guy, but it was far-fetched, and I do enjoy looking at, something people put their love and money into, but I just told him, when we spoke, I was like, wow, that seems a little far-fetched, but he's been killing it. Let me tell you something. There was enough trucks there, eyes can see. I mean, as far as you could see, there was trucks, and every morning they lined up there. It took them hours to get in. And like you said, piggyback on what you said as well, fuel, parking, hotel rooms, restaurants. That's what Atlantic City is made up for. That's why, those events. Atlantic City is, should have been the same as the trade shows, the conventions. That's a perfect example, utilizing good space, utilizing excellent logistics, rentals, car rentals, space rentals. It was really nice to see. It came out very nice. I was proud of that guy who started that program.
John, what's the summer look like in terms of all the different water activities? I mean, I do these stories where we go retrospectively and look back on how it used to be, and I realize things change. Nothing, what do they say? If you're not changing, you're dying. So nothing's going to stay the same. But you think about how decades ago, this area took more advantage of being a water-based, if you will, community than we do now. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it's funny. Growing up, my parents were in the seafood business, and we used to go down to, at the time it was Trump Marina, because every couple of weeks they had some kind of fishing tournament there, and they would bring in marlins and tunas, and of course my parents were in the market, and they were always buying and selling. But that really slowed down for a while. You didn't see too many big tournaments until, and as you know, Jimmy Johnson came back. And he sees Atlantic City, and he said it in a press article. He sees it as his first year of coaching in Dallas. There's so much potential here, but it's not being utilized, And he says, look, we are one of the sport fishing capitals in the East Coast. I mean, we're a mecca here, and it's underutilized. But guys like him, hey, I got another breaking story. I'm sure you heard too. The Offshore Power Race Association is coming in July to the Golden Nugget. So that's another unbelievable. Tom Foley's one of the heads that's bringing them in. When I was a young boy, I can remember my dad taking me up to Ocean One Mall and watching these unbelievable jet boats fly across the water with helicopters chase them. So that's another, what a nice, significant venue coming to Atlantic City.
You know, that I loved hearing that, John, so much. That Jimmy Johnson, I think they call it what? Quest for the Ring, which is awesome. You know, it's sort of like a play on the NFL championship ring. Quest for the Ring, as you know, it's Jimmy Johnson's signature, so he's always there. But Michael Jordan, I mean, it's a who's who event, John.
I get so lucky because I keep my personal boat there. It's a spectacular event. You have who's. You have it's a whole week. I don't know if you noticed. It's a whole week long. Every day they weigh in fish. Every day they have, and you want to talk about logistics. The millions of dollars that they spend in fuel alone could uprate Atlantic City. They spend fuel, dockage, food, ice. It's a commodity. But what he does, they do a fantastic. Look, I met Jimmy Johnson personally last year. What a phenomenal guy. Guy's 80 years old, runs around like he's 25.
I know.
And loves fishing.
Yeah.
And he loves sport fishing. He just loves competition. He gets an adrenaline high from it. And listen, who Michael Jordan showed up last year, for the last couple of years, and other big names, because he surrounds himself with good people. And
then, John, an event gets a reputation for being great, and then look out. I mean, the growth can be just unbelievable. But when you see the people that come to this event, what is the expression? Success breeds success. It can just keep getting better.
Oh, I agree with you. And every year it has gotten better, too, by the way. This is the third or fourth year, and it's multiplied to the point where I don't think the Gold Nugget has any room left. They're squeezing more boats in than daily. And I don't think Jimmy wants it ever to be sold out, so they keep finding more dockage. But, it's very successful. They've had some great catches, and it's just another great positive thing coming to Atlantic City, and Atlantic City showcasing what they're really about. And the Gold Nugget does a nice job. 2 beautiful steakhouses in there. They have Asian, they have a Mexican place, they have hotels. They just renovated, the hotel room. So again, you got out-of-state people coming here and absolutely being head over heels for Atlantic City.
It's good stuff. I love it. You know, it's neat. Basically, we did bring up the one Board of Education issue, but even that was, keeping our powder dry and, hoping for the best. But the positivity, because there are a lot of good things. There's certainly bad things, and we're not shy to talk about them. We're not shy to write about them, but a lot of real positives. I mean, I just saw, for example, on the Fox News channel about 45 minutes ago, a brand new Atlantic City commercial that we don't usually get to see because they're showing these commercials in other markets. This is one that is right here in the Delaware Valley. Spot just makes Atlantic City look so good. And there are so many good things. We'll talk about more when we come back. 44 minutes past the hour with John Devlin. I am Hurley in the Morning. This is...
You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
It's the topics that matter to me.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the Morning.
If you really want to know what's happening in Atlantic City, it's Harry Hurley every single morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Love it when they get it right like that. 47 minutes past the hour is Harry Hurley for Batteries Plus in Northfield, right next to Broadcast Center. And in Mount Laurel. We'll give you the addresses in just a moment. They're one of our WPG industry aces. So from the car, the truck, marine, RV, camper, golf cart, ATV, mobility scooter, motorcycle, any of them. If you need a battery, they've got them. If you're getting ready for the storm season, if you need LED, emergency lighting, portable generator, or surge protectors, Batteries Plus has them all. broken phone or tablet screen, it's no problem at all. They'll fix it while you wait. We've been there. We've done it. Cell phone battery, if you need the replacement, they'll do it while you wait. Your watch, your key fob batteries, they'll do the replacements while you wait. If it's broken, bring it in. They can fix it. Right inside Batteries Plus, from cracked screens to battery replacements. If the charge port, sometimes you just pull the wire too hard or it gets caught on something and pulls out very abruptly. If that port gets out of alignment or broken, the speakers, the microphones, pretty much anything that's inside a phone, they can fix it at Batteries Plus. Batteries Plus, and we fix it. 900 Tilton Road in Northfield, Route 73 in Mount Laurel. Stop into one of the locations and enter to win a pair of tickets to see Journey and Def Leppard in Philadelphia. 49 minutes past the hour, visiting with John Devlin of Atlantic City fame. John, you get the next topic. What do you got?
Hey, I want to end today with something real positive. This has been one of the best convention and trade show year that I've ever been a part of in the last 30 years. We had the beginning of the year, we had the pizza show, phenomenal. We had the pool and spa, the largest pool and spa in history in the last 30 years, the history of the convention center, largest, most attended. Right behind that, you had the boat show, largest, most attended. It's nice to see when a good plan comes together, and these folks that bring these conventions to Atlantic City should really be rewarded because they're bringing stuff here and bringing 20,000 a day and people coming here. I think it's an excellent thing, and my father would say a lot. That the trade show industry would keep the town going, and during some of the cold months when business was down. So again, it was a really nice trade show year. We had some really phenomenal trade shows, and they're continuing. So I think we're going to start really competing again hard with big places like New York and Philly and Las Vegas. At one point, we moved more freight than anywhere else in the country. We need to get back to that. It's good, clean money, no hassles, no headaches. In town, they're spending money. Hotels are booked. Restaurants are booked. Another win-win, huh?
And you want to show that Atlantic City is a town that's open for business. You know, as well as I know, John, you go to some jurisdictions and it's a nightmare. You need to get a receptacle, a plug put in. It's a nightmare. And the cost is, ridiculous. Like you need to take a mortgage out. So you want to be a jurisdiction that is truly open for business and cooperative. And I know this was last year, but I want to put it in as sort of an honorable mention because they do move it around so you don't get it year after year after year. You're lucky when you get it. That Sport Collector show was one of the biggest things also in Atlantic City. It was incredibly successful.
Absolutely. I mean, I really, in all the years, I think this is my 28th year working trade shows, I've never seen an unsuccessful show. I've seen shows that their attendance went down a little bit, but a trade show, a convention, just brings people that are devoted to that subject. The pet show, the antique show, the pool and spa show, the boat show, the collector show. And I'll tell you another thing that does a phenomenal job, he doesn't get enough credit for, is the Beer Wine Festival.
Oh,
that
huge.
is
Yeah.
phenomenal. John Henderson.
By the way, he left Atlantic City, kind of trashed Atlantic City, and went elsewhere next door, and then came back. And that is a very popular gathering. People like that.
Yeah, no, listen, he has numerous events, and the Beer Fest has been great. He actually took it outside one year and then said, there's a lot of people that want to be inside. So then guess what he's doing? He's doing two. He's doing one inside and one outside venue because it's that popular. It brings in some huge bands. I mean, I went and watched one of my favorite Dropkick Murphys on Bader Field last year. It was phenomenal. But stuff like that's phenomenal. Bring it.
Well, like we'll go full circle, John, in the final 7 minutes, like the Monster Truck Meet 2024. That's what, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, fifth straight year of having that here in Atlantic City. And people now realize, that time of year, oh my God, there's so many trucks. It's unbelievable. And of course, it makes the town really busy. And that's great for the restaurants, great for the shops, great for the casinos, great for those staying overnight, because a lot do. Obviously, huge parking concession at Bader Field that we wrote about in my article, and a lot to it all. But that's the kind of business that then if you do a P&L on something like the Atlantic City Monster Truck Meet, can you imagine the spin-off just that we can think of off the top of our head? Room revenue, shopping at stores, eating at the restaurants. I mean, it is just, it's incredible business, John.
It's incredible, and it's good for everybody.
Yeah.
Listen, it's good participation. It's good spending money, and they're happy to spend the money. And let's go back a little bit further. You know, the largest car show in the United States, it might be even ranked in the world. It's called the SEMA Car Show. It's in Las Vegas. They are actually right now talking and negotiating a car show in Atlantic City that is so large. I don't want to spoil it, but it's so large, and we'll do a story with you on it. That's so large, it's going to take up both Convention Center, Convention Hall. It's going to do a beach, and it's going to do Bader Field.
Jeez.
That is going to put Atlantic City on the map if we do it right. If we do it right, we have a cooperation with the government, which, by the way, I know we're speaking real positive today, and that's awesome. But we don't always have that. And I can tell you, the mayor has to be part of everything, not just certain things that, floats his boat.
Right.
Previous Mayor Langford, I can remember him on a horse during the rodeo. I'm quite sure he's not a big rodeo fan, but guess what? He's part of the environment. You don't see this sitting mayor coming to the pool and spa show, cutting ribbons or anything like that. That's a farce. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate part of this, but you need somebody, instead of just promoting their own venues and promoting their own kind of side business, promote Atlantic City, because that's their job.
And listen to this, John. You're going to love this. I know I do. This is from somebody that has skin in the game, loves Atlantic City, and wants Atlantic City to succeed. Not to mention, because they're following up on the stuff that you and I are saying, John, not to mention the positive impression that's left of Atlantic City. And then the folks go back and tell people that Atlantic City is a great venue, or come back and visit for vacation, or make plans to make sure that they come back the next year. So this is a very good point. This actually is next level good on top of the dialogue that you and I have been sharing. This leaves an impression going forward in the future, John.
No, you're right. They say one good comment attracts 10 different people, and those 10 different people attract another 10. So, it definitely trickles downhill in a positive way.
By the way, you also know that the opposite is true too, and it's terrible. It's like tenfold worse. People that have something good tell only a certain number of people. People that have something bad to say maybe tell 10 times the number of people. So think about it. And when I was in the hospitality business, I always used to teach our staff that for every good experience that we have, one bad experience will take us more than 10 good experiences to try to catch up and make up for one bad experience. So that math is troublesome, John. It's daunting.
It is. I was trying to stay positive, but
Yeah,
you're
me too.
100% right.
Yeah.
And listen, things happen. Atlantic City can improve on some things, but so can every other city. Listen, I travel abundantly, and, Philadelphia and New York, great cities, great locations. Chicago, I was just there lately. Pittsburgh, these are some great keynote cities, but they also have a bad side to it. I think, what Atlantic City needs to focus on is the old clean, safe streets, where we want the streets to be safe, obviously, and clean. I think, we have some work to be done there. And, in the future, hopefully that gets done. It's only going to be a win-win for everybody, including the residents, including the businesses, including the children, and including the up-and-coming kids and boys and girls. I want to, be part of this and be business people and be part of the new Atlantic City. So,
John, final minute. What is your best minute on summer 2024, your expectations?
Well, I think we're going to kick it off right with Jimmy Johnson tournament, followed right behind that by the Offshore Power Boat Association. I think they're going to be awesome for the the beach and beyond. I think we're starting off on a great note, and hopefully at the end we have the in-water boat show. Like, you have any idea what I like? I'm into, Harry. Boating.
Yeah.
we have the great,
You're not burying the lead. I got it. That's good.
Yeah. So I mean, the in-water boat show, by the way, most sold out in-water boat show in the history was last year. So there's some great things coming here. I think it's going to take work to turn Atlantic City around, but we're as a community, like leaders like you and me and Tibbetts and Johnny X, and others, a large group of others, we can really make a positive impact on Atlantic City.
Well, hey, John, I know we only have 30 seconds. Here's what we know. Any downturn that ever happens, Atlantic City always has another comeback in her. It always. It's never failed.
Well, it's funny, 30 seconds, but my father, who lived during the Great Depression, would say that when the rest of the world was doing bad, Atlantic City was doing good.
How about
that? It's pretty amazing. Like you said,
10 seconds.
She's been beat up and knocked down, but she's still plugging away.
Gets up before the bell every time. John, great to be with you.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
I thank you very much. It's 5 minutes past the hour, not a moment too soon. Mayor Kane is here. And we thought this together, we thought it would be a great update. Mayor Kane and I, we talked about electric vehicles before they ever came back. And don't forget, electric vehicles once got as high as 30%, I think is the number, in like 1930. And by 1940, they were gone. Mayor, do you think history is going to repeat itself, or is the technology and the political will, especially on the left, is the political will just so intense that they won't let it fall away? Because usually in America, supply and demand dictates. If you want something, then they'll make it and you can buy it. If not enough people buy it, it goes away. So I mentioned before that in the 1930s, EVs were around. The American people wound up not liking them, and they went away. And now, of course, we know they're back. Mayor, welcome. Your opening comment.
Good Monday morning. I appreciate your comment there. I think there's a few differences this time around, and those would be, I guess the most important difference is the performance that you can get out of an electric vehicle now. Back then, you couldn't get the performance that you get now. And then, of course, with petroleum being so cheap back then, there was really no need for it. And I think that's really what the demise of it was then. Petroleum was so cheap, they were mass produced, and it was much easier to get a hold of a combustible engine car and refill it and use it. And but they have closed the gap on performance. I mean, electric cars, certainly the majority of them perform as well, or even in some cases for high performance, outperform combustion engines. But I think it really has a lot to do, Mayor. I think this election is critical for many reasons, and for this one reason alone. I think that petroleum comes back down to $20, $30, $40 a crude oil for a barrel of crude oil. It could make the push for electric vehicles unnecessary, and I think it would really go by the wayside and just be an option for individuals that want it.
Mayor, shameless sidebar plug, but you took care of Hurley 1 for 11 years. You sold me the car. You took care of the car. As you know, it never missed a checkup. It never missed an oil change. Margie and I, now it's 12 years, Margie and I took it to Long Island, and I got to Long Island to Hofstra. We used the car because we had to go between the hotel and Hofstra University for the Talkers Convention, the conference, and then we drove home. I did all of that on 1/2 tank of gas, Mayor. How about that?
That's fantastic. And, that has a lot to do, obviously, with, the way you drive the car and, it's your acceleration, the speed that you drive. So, there's a lot of factors come play and the maintenance on the car, how the car is maintained and how the car is running. So,
and you want to hear another crazy thing? 12 years old, and these brakes will not quit, Mayor. The last time you looked at them, and it is the case as we speak. The front brakes are 5 millimeters. The back brakes, rear brakes, I guess you call them when you're articulate like you are about cars. I call them the rear brakes, 4 millimeters. They still have meat after 12 years, Mayor. 12 years. Original brakes.
Yeah, that's unprecedented. That's unheard of. That's fantastic, though.
I can't believe it. I mean, it's just incredible. And just to think that you and I were going to trade it in right before the pandemic. Thank God we didn't. You got me the best car I could have ever wished for, Mr. Mayor Kane.
Well, glad to hear that, Mayor. That's a wonderful testament. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean it. Let me go to something real quick. Just give me a second because I want to do one other pleasantry. I want to let our audience know something that you and Anne-Marie have done for a number of years, and we're obviously very, very grateful. Let me go to my trusty folder real quick, and here it is.
One of the other, the problem with situation with electric cars is, where you have to get the parts from. We're dependent once again, with the electric vehicle industry, we're dependent on our adversaries, to purchase, in particular, the lithium for batteries. And when you look at, the average car, it's going to contain, I believe, it's around 17 pounds of it in order to create the power source for the product. So that leaves us dependent on other individuals in the world that we really don't want to be dependent on. And I don't know if you saw the news just recently, by accident with fracking, they found as a byproduct the ability to produce lithium right here in the United States. And apparently we could have some of the most abundant supplies in the entire world.
Wow. Just a matter of getting to it. I mean, we also have a lot of oil that Joe Biden and his team are locking up and away. This is what I wanted to do a moment ago, Mayor. Let me just have the floor to say this, and then we'll come right back to that. That the sixth hole of our 17th annual Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Open at the Linwood Country Club is sponsored by Charles and Anne-Marie Kane, Kane's Custom Carts. The prize is a beautiful Kane's Custom Cart for the first person to hit a hole-in-one. No one's done it, but it is something that does happen, and folks have come very, very close. And you and Anne-Marie have been sponsoring this for years and years and years, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thanks, Mayor.
Well, we're looking forward to it, and we're hoping that someone comes up and manages to get that shot. It's a tough shot. I've been golfing pretty much the majority of my adult life, and I think I sent you a picture last week. I came the closest I've ever come to my hole-in-one, and it was about a foot from the cup at the end of the individual I was with two individuals. One had two hole-in-ones and one had another hole-in-one, and I was there to witness both of them over the years.
Wow. Amazing. How would you like to be a friend of mine? One Alfred Fred Cerny, and you're at a golf tournament and you hit a hole-in-one. On the hole-in-one hole, you believe that you've won the car, but someone hit a hole-in-one before you. They had two hole-in-ones at the same tournament, Mayor.
That's I don't know what the odds are on that, but
that is cruel and unusual. I mean, that's heartbreaking, but it happened to him. Crazy. But my thanks and appreciation to you and Anne-Marie, because not only does it class our event up, I'm not saying it's the same one, and you I believe 2 weeks ago shared what the cart will be, but describe the one that was there last year, because from the paint job to the whole deal, it was beautiful. And tell us what we're going to have this year.
Last year we had a dynamic there that had the front and rear racks. It was a partial utility cart and a luxury cart. That was a gorgeous, gorgeous cart. Of course, that found a new home after the tournament. But this year we're putting in. It's got 4 captain's chairs in it. Each seat in the golf cart, if you can believe it or not, has fold-down armrests with captain chairs, all forward-facing. It's a 2024 Forester, push-button start, rear view camera, small lift on it, luxury wheels. This one even has a trunk on the rear. I think I mentioned this last week that you could use if you're in the shore towns, Cape May, and it's lockable and it's removable. So if you want, when you get back to wherever you're going, your home or your Airbnb or your hotel, you just pull a couple clips, and it rolls off like a piece of luggage, and you can take it right into the home.
Oh, that's fantastic. Mayor, I need to do a correction, because we don't believe in just moving on if we make, especially it's a material fact error that I made. How do I put this? The gist of it doesn't change, but the years were wrong. In 1910, not 1930, in 1910, electric vehicles were 33% of the car market. By 1920, they were 0%. So they were there, a third of the public was on them, and then they were gone within the decade. So it really, it just cleans up the years. Kirk Conover sent that to me. Thank you, Kirk. It cleans up the years, but the narrative I gave was accurate, other than I was off, by a couple decades. That's not good, but we just cleaned that up. But I do agree with the point that you made, though, because what was an EV capable of in 1910? It just couldn't have been very good.
Oh, absolutely. It was. I mean, I did not do a lot of research. I was always a combustible engine guy, but I can tell you, back then, again, it would have been. Well, actually, most cars back then, what was being produced was very lackluster, but it did give you the mobility. The difference with the, combustible engine, they already had a network going in place in order to be able to fuel them. And that's what they're still, you think about it, the same problem from back then is the same problem that we're faced with here today. 2 problems. One, they're still producing product. I think the public has spoken. I read an article, I want to say a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and they said that the public has spoken. Even though electric vehicles have increased year over year, they're still a very small percentage of the total vehicle sales, and they're so highly subsidized that that can't go on forever.
Right. They couldn't make it in the free market right now.
No, there's no, you have no network, and the ability to create that network in a time frame that would help this industry is almost impossible. I think I told you they're knocking on commercial establishments. They're sending out salesmen in the state of New Jersey, and they're knocking on local establishments and offering incentives for individuals to put charging stations in their businesses.
Yep.
And the sale, the shtick that they give to the business owner is, well, you can charge whatever you want. Well, free market tells you what you can charge. They just say you can make whatever you want on it. Well, at the end of the day, if gas comes back down to $2.30 or $2.50 a gallon, depending on the election, what are you really going to be able to charge for the amount of money you're putting out?
Bingo. Hold on. When we come back, more with Mayor Kane, and I want to put the topic out there. I'll tell you what I'm a fan of. I would take one of these. I love them. I prefer, I don't want an electric car, but I would take a hybrid. Then you get the best of both worlds. You could never be stuck Friend of mine that I know got the electric car, and I heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend. No, I'm just teasing. It's accurate. That because it tells you how many miles you have, but it doesn't understand if you're in an area that's very, very hilly, very, the incline is challenging. A lot of type of roads that are going up and calling for more power, and then they wound up running out of power. And you know what they wound up doing? As my friend told me the story, they wound up just leaving it there and getting a rental car and gasoline powered and see you later, because the electric car had failed them tremendously. Mayor, I want to ask you what you think about the hybrid, where you get the best of both worlds. You can be electric, or you could have and use the combustion engine if needed. We'll be back with Mayor Kane. It's 19 minutes past the hour. I am.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
It's well-balanced conversation.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
I listen every morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
So do I. 22 minutes past the hour. Mayor Kane continues. Mayor, opine, please, with whatever detail you'd like to share relative to the hybrid variety, which for me is having your cake and eating it too.
Well, one of the points I wanted to make, and I think I didn't finish my point on the last thing, is we had talked about electric cars and how they are gaining in popularity, but they're still such a small segment of the market share. And again, I was reading that article last week, and it basically said Americans have spoken. They really don't want to buy electric cars, but they want to buy Teslas. For some reason, the lure of Elon Musk and the confidence that individuals have in Elon Musk and his ability to create an electric product, the styling and performance of it, they are still desirable cars, and people want to buy them. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he equates to right around 50% of the EV market. So, there is a product out there that people do like and appreciate. And he's tried very hard to create a network, but it's still not enough, and it would take decades for that to come to reality.
Mayor, let's talk. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Can the state handle it?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. All right, so now give us your take on the hybrids.
Well, hybrids are the best of both worlds. I mean, for the individual that wants that self-satisfaction of knowing that they're doing something for the environment with an electric car, but still have the reliability of a combustion engine. And if you look at some of these, I mean, they're getting, in the neighborhood of 40, 50, 60 miles a gallon. And I remember one statistic from years ago on the Ford Fusion. If you drove it X amount of miles a day only, and you stayed under a certain speed, and you had it charged, it equated to almost 99 miles to a gallon, because you really would never use the combustion engine. So there are practical uses for the vehicles, and as they continue to improve styling on them, and if they can somehow get a network together, I could see them maintaining their place in society. But again, if you drop fuel back down to just a few dollars a gallon, I think the necessity of them is really going to go away, and you'll see it go by the wayside just like you did in the 30s.
Yep, I agree. I completely agree with that comment. Mayor Kane continues on the Hurley in the Morning program at 25 minutes past the hour. Here's what I'm hearing, Mayor. I think the information I'm about to share is correct. Tell me if you, because I will stand corrected if you know better on this, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. But the last I heard, and it was just last week, the average car age in America today is 12 years old. Is that unusual?
It is, and it's going up. It has been going up. You're absolutely correct. And this is something we used to touch on almost every year. I remember when it was back in the 5, 6, 7 year. Now you're looking at 12 and a half years. And I believe that's a combination of a few things. One, the supply chain issues that are still there, that definitely plays on it. But I think it's a product of, middle class pockets being strained, and they're holding on to whatever they can in order to just continue to get by.
Is another possibility, and I agree with that completely, that's the definitive answer, but also are the cars, we always think, I think lay people that, oh my God, they used to be made so much better and they would last longer. These cars of today that people think, I think people incorrectly think are cheap or something like planned obsolescence, made to break. They're lasting very, very well, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a product of technology, and you're absolutely right. I mean, they, the cars nowadays, to get, I just had this conversation with somebody the other day, to buy a car with 100,000 miles on it and still expect to get, 100,000 mile more is commonplace today. I actually it was actually an individual I was talking to, buys Tundra pickups, and this is his third one. And the last one, Mary, got 470,000 miles on it. The irony is he turned around and he told me what he sold it for with that mileage on it. And, I knew he was correct with it. And, so these vehicles today with proper maintenance, and when I say proper maintenance, keep clean oil in the car. That's proper maintenance, and when you feel something that doesn't feel right, it's just like your body. You got to take it when something doesn't feel right. You got to get it to the doctor. And it's the same thing with your car, because it's not going to improve itself. It's not going to get better. And if you catch things early, you can really extend the life of a product. If you don't and you ignore it and you let it go, you could end up destroying something that wasn't necessary to begin with.
So important. Visiting with Mayor Charles Kane. So if you had to pick the answer, EVs are here to stay, or EVs could go just like they did between 1910 and 1920. Which do you think it's going to be?
I think they're here to stay. Again, that network is being created. I think.
Are they here to stay because people want them, or are they here to stay because government is pushing them?
I think I think you have to take that, and you have to answer that. That's a two-part answer. One, Teslas are here to stay because people want them. They want the product. They're buying the product. They're excited about the product. Other domestic and import electric vehicles, I think they still need to get their act together, and I think it's going to be a long time. And again, how long can the subsidy stay on these cars also?
What is your recommendation? I mean, I think most of us listening right now will never drive into water, but you never know. I mean, I forget, God, it was a famous person's sibling, I think, or parent rather, one or the other. And accidentally they went into reverse. They backed in, they went into the water, and they couldn't get out and drowned. I mean, it's terrible. They were fine. They couldn't get out. And I think it was a Tesla, because they couldn't break the window, and the electric aspect of it made the doors and the windows inoperable, and the person actually drowned. What's your recommendation on how to defeat that?
Well, the most high-profile story that I believe you're referring to was a billionaire, Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law.
There you go. That's right. His wife's sister, who used to be our former cabinet secretary with President Bush. Yes, that's exactly who I'm referring to. I couldn't think of it for a second. So, all right, take it from there.
So, that was an accident.
By the way, Elaine Chao. She goes by a different name. Go ahead.
She was moving from one location to another after a dinner party, and she mistakenly put the car in reverse and drove backwards down a culvert. The car took quite a considerable amount of time to sink. During that sinking, she was on the phone with individuals. They were trying to get her out. They tried in vain to break the windows. They couldn't because of the type of glass that was there. But here's to your point. So when the car is 3/4 of the way submerged, the tow truck arrives on scene. The tow truck driver refused to go into the water because the amount of voltage that's in these cars. He was putting his own life in jeopardy. In his estimation, right, by doing so.
If this had been a regular car, she would have been towed out of there.
A regular car, I believe, they would have dove in, attached the cable to it, and they probably would have got her out. But because it was a Tesla, the story goes that, it took several, minutes. It took a considerable amount of time because the first tow truck driver would not go and attach a cable to the car.
Can you imagine going that way? What a horrific death that must have been. You would be just there. I can't believe it. I can't get out of here. I'm going to die like this. I can't believe that this is happening. So there's got to be, and we need to talk about it, there's got to be a way, whether it's that punch that just goes boom and it breaks the glass. It can't be that there's no way to get out. There's got to be a way to get out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that's, it's a freak accident, but obviously it happened. And if it happened to her, there's the potential of it happening to, other drivers.
Well,
and other individuals.
Mayor, let me give you an example. Remember in the old days, you could get locked in a trunk and you couldn't get out. You'd bang, 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 and do everything. Now, and correct me if I'm wrong, now every car has that release thing, and you can get out of a trunk. And many times you can just bust your way through the seat also. And get into the car and out that way. But they addressed it. You can't get locked in a trunk now because it has the release, correct?
It has, and that release must be glow in the dark.
There you go. So you can get out.
So
if somebody kidnaps you
cord handle in every modern car today.
So there you have it. So there's got to be, I know like it's a fluke and the water thing, but stuff happens. You can have a blowout and you could wind up in water. Anything could happen. Like Elaine Chow's sister didn't expect to accidentally go. And anymore with the paddles instead of the old way of shifting, it's not stupid. You can easily make a mistake and put yourself into the wrong gear. She put herself into reverse, away she went, and the rest is history. She's gone. There's got to be a way. Do those, my mother-in-law was a big fan of, she gave one to each of my children and all of us. It was this device, and it just released with a metal punch, like a pointed metal punch, bam, and it would break the glass. Is that Tesla glass impenetrable? There's nothing they can do?
Well, I don't know. Tesla's Cybertruck claims that their windows are unbreakable because they use a newer. Your front and rear windows windshield are laminated. Especially all front windshields are laminated. Which means that, obviously, like a plate glass window, if that breaks, that could literally cut you in half if a plate glass window broke. A windshield on a car has a lamination process in between it so that windshield will not come apart in the event of an accident. It'll stay intact and it will shatter.
Yeah.
And I believe that's the same. I'm going by memory, Mayor, but I believe that's the same technology that Tesla utilizes on all the glass in their car.
Now, I'm not speaking unbreakable versus what we would have in typical automobiles. Don't all automobiles break like that into tiny little pieces?
Yes, on the windshield and the side glass. You're absolutely correct. The difference is with the lamination in it, the pieces won't fall away. The pieces will stay intact. They'll just be shattered.
See, if the idea is hey, this is so great, it's unbreakable, and that's wonderful when the car's, on terra firma. But if you're in the water and the electronics don't work and you can't get out of the car. I mean, is that something that we're just going to accept?
The system, it's probably easier than what we think for this to happen. I mean, I can't imagine that they couldn't embed. I mean, when I know, from working on cars all for decades, every place where they hide sensors and any type of a monitoring, sensor for the vehicle for different various aspects. It would be something. I think they could do something as simple as put in a sensor that if the car was submerged. Now the difference is how do you tell if it's submerged or going through a puddle or what? Or
a torrential downpour.
and then and just have it do automatic window down when that happens. And that would probably cure this. So all you have to do is equalize the pressure, and you'd be able to open the door. So as long as you just equalize the pressure, but when the window's up and you got all the pressure forcing that door and that window shut and encapsulating that.
Well, I think, Mayor, the window's coming down. We'll finish this up on the other side of the break, and then we'll move on to some other areas as we continue with Mayor Kane. The windows coming down would have to be the answer because they can't open the doors. It's not a pressure equalization thing. Elaine Chow's sister was not able to open the door. She couldn't break the windows, the windshield, the back window, or the side windows, and she couldn't open the doors. So the windows would have to come down. It would be the only way to get out. If you can't open the door, if they made it that, the doors will unlock as soon as it hits water and starts, to sink. Well, if you can't open the door, period, then that doesn't help. So the windows, I like what you said, a sensor. Now, I don't know how you separate the difference between a torrential downpour, because you wouldn't want your windows to come down during a torrential downpour, but something's got to be done. I don't know what the solution is, but smart people could figure it out, I would think. We'll be back.
You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
Egg Harbor Township. I'm from Margate.
Listen at home or in the office on your smart speaker. Just say, play WPG.
Brigantine. Cape May. Galloway.
Hurley in the Morning on South Jersey's talk station. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the Morning.
Honesty and transparency, it's not afraid to get down and dirty and really just tell me the truth.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. 43 minutes past the hour. We ran a little bit long in the last segment, so we'll do a mini segment. We'll get our final break in, and then we'll have one closing segment with Mayor Kane. If you're just tuning in, please check the podcast later today. When it's uploaded, you can download it to your own download file and check out this conversation about electric vehicles. And I am moved by the fact that in 1910, electric vehicles reached 1/3 of American drivers. 133% drove electric vehicles, and by 10 years later, it was 0. Now, that's easy to say and then just transfer that 114 years later or whatever, but things are different. The technology is different. They do go further. They go faster. I mean, I believe it went down the tubes. I don't think it's analogous, and I don't care for how this. I don't like the way this has been pushed, the way that it's been subsidized. But I don't think the analogy from 1910 to 2024 is fair to just say it's the same thing, and in 10 years it would be the same result. The government has been too heavy-handed. They've really pushed. The other thing that they've done is they've been very unsuccessful in the infrastructure, the charging stations that we need. I mean, these trillions of dollars and all this money for the different things that they want to do, and they haven't built a single charging station. I mean, that's silly. But before we move on to some of that, Mayor, I know that Tom Foley wrote you about how he thinks this whole thing can be overcome, such as a Tesla vehicle submerging, and because of the unbreakable glass and everything else, the only end result is that somebody dies, drowns, as soon as the car fills, to the point where it's hopeless. So what does Tom Foley say, Mayor?
Well, I mean, again, it's us laymen oversimplifying the solution to this, and that's installing a sensor inside the car that would, and listen, if the water's at the bottom of the seat in your car, you're in trouble. So, at that point, the car should know to put the windows down and unlock the doors. And I was reading on the break, to see, what they recommend. And this is what the manufacturer of electric vehicles, this is what they recommend. Allow the car to completely submerge, and that way the pressure will equalize. If you can't break a window, which with these new laminate windows, I was watching a video on the hammers. They do nothing. I mean, they put a mark and it spiders, but you still can't get out of it. Forgive me, Mayor.
It's okay.
Yeah, just do that. If the car is auto down, but what they say online is to allow the water pressure to equalize in both sides. So this would have you staying in the car, allowing it to completely submerge, holding your breath until the water equalizes to the outside, and then you should be able to open the door.
Well, why didn't they tell that to Elaine Chow's sister? Look, this is going to be really scary. You can't get out now, and you won't be able to get out now. Just hang in there, and it's going to, you're going to get to the point where you're completely submerged underwater, holding your breath, and then you make your move. I mean, you don't think she made her move at that time?
Yeah, Mayor, I can't speak to the advice that was given to her, obviously.
Because she was talking to people. They could have said, hey, just hang in there. It's all going to be okay. It equalizes. I'm of the belief that the electronics aspect made it that she could not open the door at any time before it was completely, submerged, the water inside the car itself, the cabin. And I don't think she could get out. So they got to come up with something that doesn't open the windows in the pouring rain, or if you splash through a puddle or something, but will do it if the car has, hit water and is going down. But I hear you loud and clear, because you have many times said on your show that how all those electronics are located right underneath the carpet, underneath the seat. And once that's all saturated, a lot of that won't work at all, right, Mayor?
Well, I remember in the early 90s when I forget the name of the flood that we had here in southern New Jersey. And, we had, I was working at a dealership in Marmora. And so we had hundreds and hundreds of vehicles coming off the barrier islands that were flooded out. And, back then, there were certain products. There were some cars that, if it made it up to the wheel wells, those cars, you could do certain things. You could clean them up, and the car would be fine afterwards. But I remember one product, Mayor, and I only bring this up because it was a really good product, the Saab 900, I believe it was. And Saab had made the decision to put their for them, it was a novelty, and they wanted, an improvement. They thought for running wires and that stuff, they put the ignition switch in the center console. So all the electronics for running the car were put into the center console in the car. Well, if you remember that car, it had a very low center of gravity. I mean, that was the beauty of the car. It performed very well. And that car couldn't take 12 inches of water without totaling the car.
Wow.
Because as soon as that water hit that center console, which was, again, only, a foot or two off the ground, not even 2 foot, the car would be completely totaled out. There was nothing you could do with that car. And as soon as that water hit with that ignition switch, you wouldn't be able to operate any electronics especially in salt water, any electronics in the car.
Wow. Mayor, we're going to take our final break, and right after the break, we'll then be uninterrupted until the Brian Kilmeade Show. And as he always does, Brian sent his regards to me, through me, to you. Sounds like a Beatles song. And I'm happy to do that, to send his best regards. He's a big fan of this audience. 49 minutes past the hour. It has, as it always does, an hour, 6 minutes with Mayor Kane is a blessing, and it flies by. We'll be back right after this.
Hurley in the morning.
It's breaking news that I can trust.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station.
Well, the weather's warming up and summer's just around the corner. Everyone has a favorite outdoor activity: golf, bike riding, bird watching, long walks. Ask 100 people, you'll get 100 answers. But if everyday aches and pains are keeping you on the sidelines, I have one answer: Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. Wherever you're hurting, back, neck, joints, or muscles, in 3 weeks or less, you'll start to feel the difference all day, every day. So whatever you like to do, swimming, pickleball, hanging out in the garden, Relief Factor can help you feel good again and let you enjoy all your favorite outdoor activities all summer long. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Established, reputable.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
I like it when he says that. 55 minutes past the hour. Mayor, this one won't be hard to take. Kirk wrote into the program that you, Charles, put his team member, which he mentioned by name, but I'll protect the innocent, but you put his team member from our office in a vehicle that is perfect for her last week. Many thanks.
Well, that's certainly very kind. We always appreciate when someone recommends us, and she's a sweetheart, and I hope the vehicle treats her really, really well.
I'll tell you what, everyone you've ever gotten from me has. You're careful about it. I mean, I don't think it's it's just luck. I mean, I know what, before you would buy a car, how you check it. You've got, I forget how many point check, but it's many.
And that holds true today. I mean, it's just not the availability on inventory is still hit. It's still tough. I mean, the supply chain issues, I think, are going to be here to stay for the foreseeable future, and that ends up raising prices still. When the demand is still there and the product's not available, that causes the price to go up, and that's what we're still seeing.
Now, at some point, though, for example, I'm driving a more, like I said, I'm now the average, which I can't believe, at more than 12 years. You said 12 and a half. 12 and a half years is the average. At some point, though, I don't know when it's going to be, but we're all going to need a new car, whether it's a brand new car or a pre-owned car, because you can't just keep driving it forever, can you?
No, that's a great point. And we know, being in the industry for so long, you can count on those trends, and this has happened before, in various cycles throughout history, and when you see that increasing like that. Now, I think you'll continue to see the trend of it go up a little bit, Mayor, because again, as you spoke very early in the show, the quality of these cars is just, it's different than what it was. Even though there is built-in obsolescence, cars have become much more reliable, more resilient, and they do tend to last longer.
I mean, it's not unusual for, if you properly maintain a well-made car, you could drive that for hundreds of thousands of miles, can't you?
We see it every day. I mean, you get cars in there, and you get cars in there with 200,000 miles on it. And, you would think the car, had 30,000 miles on it. And just the opposite. You get cars in there with 70,000 miles on it, and they look like they have 300,000 miles on it. So it really comes back down to, and again, I keep equating it to the human body. The way you treat it, it's going to treat you the same way back. And just be conscious of those things that you feel and get them checked out early. And usually you're going to save yourself a lot of money, and you'll increase the longevity of the car in the long run.
Good stuff. Technology-wise, what do you think is the next big thing? We see that cars are almost like a roaming office now. They have technology. It went from a small little video screen. Now they're really big screens. There's, touch screen. What do you have a handle on what could be next?
I think it's utility pods. I think that's and that's starting to actually be tested out in some large cities. I think the cars are going to start evolving and looking less and less like a car, and you're going to see a lot of utility pods on the road. And these are just things that are going to stop. They're going to driverless. They're going to pick you up and drop you off at your destination. And while you're in there, you could have an immersive experience, whether that's watching a movie, or what they can do with the inside of the vehicles when you don't have to actually operate the car is pretty impressive. So,
and this driverless vehicle stuff, I mean, this is real time. This is happening.
Oh, it's definitely happening, and that I believe that is certainly here to stay. The technology is there for it, and I know we've had this conversation many times. I totally trust technology. If people knew when they got on an airplane that pretty much everything's being flown by sensors, and look at the history in that industry. Yeah. It's the same way with cars. I mean, when you think about it, in the old days, I remember in the 80s, Mayor, when you would buy a car and one of the accessory packages was cruise control, and you could add cruise to your car afterwards, and it was a few $100. But back then, you hooked a vacuum servo under the car to the carburetor with a piece of chain and to the throttle control cable. So when you hit the throttle, it would pull the chain, and when you engage the cruise control, it would pull the chain and install vacuum to it so that the car maintained the speed. Nowadays that was all something mechanical you had to put in. Now everything's done through computer. A sensor on the gas pedal tells the sensor on the electronic fuel control how much fuel to give it, and there's nothing but signal going in between the two.
Your Monday show has always been extremely ahead of its time, and we are usually ridiculed until such time that the truth catches up with things that have been said so long in advance on this program. For example, flying cars. We also said, you said, actually, I was just on the phone or in the studio, you said about the autonomous cars. People thought we were barking mad, crazy.
I actually remember our first conversation with the flying car and the feedback that we got from it, and it wasn't the most positive.
Oh no,
feedback.
People are like, "Oh my God, you're losing it. You think cars are going to fly? They'll be on the ground, and then they could also take off and fly." And I believed it when you said it. I mean, and of course the product does exist literally as we speak. I watched a movie not that long ago that was a certain number of years old, and they had the autonomous cars. People called for the car, and they got in the back, and the car drove with a robot or some kind of, automated technology, and that seemed ridiculous, but it actually is happening. And then don't even get us started on delivery from Amazon and pizzas and all kinds of things. The drone technology and delivery is going to make that very, very common.
Well, listen, I don't know if you remember a few short years ago when Elon Musk proposed dirigibles with drones, dirigibles flying overhead with drones flying in and out as a warehouse with drones flying in and out of them. And I could certainly see that happening. I don't know that you would have to have a flying structure, but drone delivery is here and it's here to stay. That's not going to change. So we're moving quickly, Mayor. Technology is moving fast, and it's hard to think of what's coming up next. But trust me, we're in a great time, and it's wonderful to see, and I'm proud like being a part of it and watching it develop.
Oh, it's so exciting, and it really fits right into this past Friday, one of the sessions, because I had 3 different duties at the Talkers annual conference. This 35-minute session that I was the moderator of was all about artificial intelligence, which obviously is also here to stay. And many, many jobs that used to be human are now robot and artificial intelligence. And all these things that we're talking about, the technology we're in, I believe this period will be written about like other periods of enlightenment, great periods of invention and creativity and all of that. This is going to be a period in history where things moved very, very fast.
Oh, I certainly subscribe to that. I agree to that.
It's happening. And look at your world just in the newest product that you deal with, the Canes custom carts. The technology is incredible, isn't it?
It really is. And well, fortunately for that industry, I haven't seen any autonomous golf carts yet. And I haven't seen any flying golf carts. So hopefully that
But you do know, like, why wouldn't there at some point be an autonomous golf cart? Why wouldn't there be? And then the player, just focuses on golfing. They don't have to drive at all. The course is mapped out. It takes it to the next hole. The ball has GPS. It takes takes you to the ball. No ball could ever be lost because it'll be found by AI. That's coming, right?
Well, there a lot of higher end courses have GPSs on the carts now, so that part's already in it. They tell you your position from anywhere in the fairway to the center of the green. So there's the stretch isn't that far.
No,
and maybe it exists. I haven't seen it, but you're absolutely correct.
30 seconds closing comment, Mayor.
Well, Mayor, I appreciate this time with you and your listeners every Monday morning. And if you're interested, if anyone's interested in leasing or renting a golf court for a short period of time, weekends, we do pickup and delivery. We have several products there. We have more coming in for sale. And remember, Mayor, it's always a great day to rent or buy a Canes custom cart.
And thank you to you and Anne-Marie for sponsoring the 6th hole-in-one competition. With the prize being a beautiful Canes custom cart. We thank you for it.
Appreciate it. Have a wonderful week, Mayor, and we'll talk again.
You too, my friend. See ya. Gotta go. Brian Kilmeade is here. As I mentioned, he sent his regards.